All right, it's time to start. It's time to get started. It's time to, it's so time to get started. I promised somebody hair down earlier, and I'm delivering. Even though I've been under I've been assembling a giant metal shelf in the garage, and then basically clearing everything out of the corner where the shelf was, which was a teetering pile, removing it, creating, building the big assembling. I mean, I'm not, the original Jesus's stepdad, but it's metal. It's a shelf that weighs about 200 pounds. It's no small feat. It'll get you vascular while you do it. There's a lot of this kind of cranking, if that's the kind of behavior you like. So I've been doing that, and I'm a little dirty. I'm not smelly, because it's too cold for that. I had the garage door open, and it's chilly. That said, but hi, how are you, everybody? I adore you guys, and it's nice to have you here. And hold on, I'm reloading the page on the chat so I can take a lovely look at you folks. We have a lot to cover, and my just for the record, if I may, and I think I can, my little page of stuff that I was, hold on, I have to pull these clips again real quick without them making noise, because it's just too good to be true. Sometimes there's just enough craziness to fill the show, and then other days our cup runneth over, and that happens quite a bit. Hold on, let me open this 1 second. I got to pause this. I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me what's said. Sorry, sometimes they start playing ahead of time, and I got to pause them. I don't want to hear it. And then, hi, chat room. Hello. 1 second. There's one more clip. I'm gathering it right now. No, okay. This one I got to hold on. Yeah, let's do this one. And then there was so much stuff. God damn. Yeah, that one. And this one. Oh, God. There's so much good stuff. Today I can barely stand it. I'm gonna get worn out. Hold on, one more thing, and then that's it. Okay. Oh, and what was the last one? There was one. Oh yeah, here we go. It's okay. I got this one. All right. We start our show today, if I may, and I think I can, with the earlier promised videos. This is it's just too good. Hold on. Where is he? Come on in here. There he goes. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may, the next head of the RNC, if I can, where is it? Oh, no, that's you guys. Hi, everybody. There you guys are. Hello. You're good people, and I'm glad you're here. Here he is. Dun, 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 dun. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Pillow himself. The man who makes any Arby's a game of Call of Duty, and anybody who's actually eaten at an Arby's has experienced the Call of Duty at some point, much sooner sometimes than even you might have expected. It kind of sneaks up on you. Okay, you're gonna be all right. It's fun times. Let's do this. Now, is Rumble working? It is. Look at that. Nope, is it? Wait, hold on. Play, you stupid. Is it running? Yes, it is. Hey, look at that. That's fun. So to all our folks at Rumble, all our folk at Rumble, our one person, whoever watches this later. I'm going to start stacking wins here in a little while over at Rumble. But I would like to say hi. Russell and Jimmy are assholes. Trump is a lifelong loser and a fuck up. And the sooner you realize that, the happier you'll be. I'm just here to help. Okay, now, showtime. Mike Pillow is not happy sitting on the sidelines, but playing cheerleader for the rhinos or the maggots or anybody. He wants to get in the game, baby. He wants to show you what he's made of. He wants the mustache patrol to roll up on this place and get a little milk mustache situation happening. And before we dive into this, I want to thank, by the way, Bjorn for the Swedish kronar, and I'm just discovering now that I'm a comedian. And sometimes it sneaks up on you. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get the jokes later. And that's okay. Darren, again, thank you. These are from the morning show, and I didn't get a chance to say them. Mimi Cat, thank you so much. And Fog, thank you. And Celery Caraway, thank you for becoming a patron this morning. We got a new Patreon supporter this morning. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Also, Twitch.tv/HalSparks. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe there, and it doesn't cost you a dime, and it helps the show out. Memberships on YouTube, and you can share and gift those to your heart's delight if you think the show is worth watching. And if you think I work hard for the money, so hard for the money, which I think I do. Now, please, I can't hold off any longer. I need to hear this. Again, let me be abundantly clear before we start. Anybody thinks I'm being mean to this prick? In the beginning of all this stuff, I think a lot of us looked at Mike Pillow as a softball, gullible Dumbo who just fell in with the wrong crowd and allowed his religion to be kind of corralled by Donald Trump and others and got suckered into supporting this bullshit. It's kind of a lovable loser on this. No. Mike Pillow is a prick. When the FBI took his phone, he went and got his secretary's phone and started calling all the same people with her fucking phone, endangering her and the FBI taking her phone as furtherance of a crime. He's a dick. And it's all and again, there's a very Glenn Ross thing happening here. He's always closing. Here we go.
Mike Lindell has prayed.
By the way, if you don't know who Mike Lindell is, he is not this callous barnacle of a person either. And I don't know how much blow you have to do or how much you have to rub your nose to have this nostril always inflamed. I don't know. I don't care to know.
And he's come to the conclusion that it is his task and purpose to run.
Task and purpose. Military, phase tip of the spear, armor-piercing shell. Ballistic whoopee cushion.
Chair of the RNC. So, Mike, let me ask you these. Number one, you're being sued by, I don't know, all these different groups, billions.
Yeah, bring that up right out of the gate.
Thousands of lawsuits, with Fox on some, other people on the other. Is this just a sophisticated jujitsu move?
Yeah, that's what I think of. I mean, it might be jujitsu. It might be like the Nicolas Cage movie Jiu-Jitsu.
Are you playing four-dimension chess just to get...
Yeah. He's playing fourth dimensional Connect 4. He's playing 3D checkers.
Off the hook of these lawsuits, and that's why you're running for the RNC, so you can kind of make your case to the American people and maybe reverse argue outside the court of why you shouldn't be sued.
Yeah. Look at his face. He doesn't even understand what you're saying.
Is that where you're doing this?
No, absolutely not. And if you remember, Steve, I asked, let's just take Dominion. I asked Dominion to sue me. Remember that part?
Yeah, because they were going to.
These are frivolous cases called lawfare.
I think it was on. By the way, I think it was on this very show, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it was. But I think it was. Put that aside over here.
Yeah. Multi-billion-dollar lawsuits because I tried to destroy some companies based on some dude farting in my face and telling me it was a spring breeze, and I wanted to believe it so bad because I want to use Trump's ass as a bong that I just have to believe this shit.
Here, I've got all the evidence over there. That'll play itself out in the courts, but they delay it.
It'll just happen.
Dominion and Smart Man, there's no discovery. They've not shown anybody their source code or anything.
Yeah, they don't have to, dummy. This is like a rapist suing his victim and saying, I want discovery that includes me sniffing your panties. Piss off. You don't get to libel someone and then sue them so that you can look in their fucking closets. Your Honor, she dresses like a slut, Your Honor. She's a slut and a slutty slut. She dresses like a slut. And she sues you for calling her that because she lost a job or people didn't like her or blah, blah, blah. So a woman sues you for that. And then you're like, Your Honor, as part of discovery, I would like to root through her closets with my penis. Shut the fuck up.
And they're never gonna, Steve. So
they don't have to. Of course they're never gonna, stupid.
It's a separate issue.
If you're getting sued by Wells Fargo for calling them a child sex trafficking money laundering group, and you managed to get enough people to believe it where it affected their bottom line, and they went, fuck you, we're suing you for libel. They don't have to prove the negative. They don't have to prove that they're not. You have to prove you got your accusation from some fucking place. I don't know why this asshole does not understand how this works.
This here is 100% all in. I've seen the RNC is one of the most important organizations in our country.
I don't know. I think it's somewhere down there. No, I don't mean anything against him. It's somewhere between the Salvation Army and the Church of Satan.
And it's sinking. The ship is going down. And
right. And only Mike Pillow can save it.
It needs,
I have inflatable pillows.
Needs a leader, and it needs a business leader. It needs someone that knows how to fix things and how to be.
It needs a fluffer. And no one can fluff Donald Trump better than Mike Pillow.
Proactive in moving forward with a change in footprints. The footprint of our country has drastically changed it.
Yes, we're no longer Bigfoot. We're now dainty and wear support soles. The fuck? The footprint of our country?
It's went all over the board.
All right. Well, I thought I didn't understand it. Now I do. I take it back. My fault. Excuse me. I didn't realize. Hold on. Run that by me again. In case somebody missed it, I think it should be clear to most people.
In moving forward with a change in footprints. The footprint of our country has drastically changed it. It's went all over the board.
Yeah, don't step on the board. It's not that kind of fucking game, okay? You roll the dice, you move your little person, and if you have a kid, you put them in the back seat of the little car, and you try to get them to a spot where you can get them a college degree. It's the game of life.
Things that you thought that you could always count on, you can't count on anymore.
Nah, not when stuff goes. What fucking planet is this dude from? That's his shorthand?
You can't, and
no, I can't, you know what? You can't, you know what? What do you mean? Fuck me. Wait.
It's drastically changed it. It's went all over the board. Things that you thought that you could always count on, you can't count on anymore. You can't, and
yeah, you know what? That was my fault too. Don't bother to fill in the blanks. We get it. Things, those things that you used to count on, you can't count them anymore. So, the things that we used to count on, like stop signs and condoms.
So, no, this is 100% a need. And believe me, people came to me.
Oh, yeah. This wasn't his idea. People, they were like, he couldn't get any sleep. Just, yes, run for RNC. Because the Romney lady, all right, stop it. Leave me alone.
That's what first sparked this. These were big donors. And when the big donors are going to leave, and when the RNC, when you have its own members going, hey, we want to, we want to change, or they're happy, they're terming out a lot of them. And a lot of them were good people. And
yeah, that made sense too. Please tell me someone's keeping notes so we can get this translated from gibberish later.
And also, Steve, remember, we started this with precinct strategy from the bottom up. We've learned,
you definitely started at the bottom. Definitely.
Learned so much that how important the RNC can be and is. But when they abandon you, it's not good. And
no, it's very terrible when you feel abandoned emotionally. There's so much you could do there, and you're not doing it. And when it's not done, it doesn't get done, and it won't be done. When will it be done? Bookik. I don't understand what the fuck this man is talking about.
And we will lose. That's another way we would completely lose our country.
Okay,
so,
you're obviously a proven entrepreneur, business.
Yes, he is a proven entrepreneur, but what does it have to do with
when
manure?
They abandon you, it's not good, and we will lose. That's another way we would completely lose our country.
Okay,
so,
sure.
You're obviously a proven entrepreneur.
Yes, that's okay. I'm starting to think we all know that Steve Bannon shits on Mike Pillow. I'm starting to think he's doing this on purpose. entrepreneur. I can't even say it when I want to. Entrepreneur is a great way to describe what Mike Lindell does for a living, what he is. He's an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur. Fuck, man. I can't. Entrepreneur. Right to his fucking face. And I can't, I swear to God, I think he's reading it off the paper because to say entrepreneur takes practice. I think he wrote it down. I'm gonna call him an entrepreneur in this. Write it down. It's hard to say. I know. I'll look right at it. I'll read it off the paper. Entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur.
But when they abandon you, it's not good, and we will lose. That's another way we would completely lose our country.
Okay,
so.
You're obviously a proven entrepreneur.
Oh shit! Entrepreneur. Jesus Christ. Sometimes, it's like a Freudian slip for the anal retentive. Shit. Okay, one more time. We'll move on.
But when they abandon you, it's not good, and we will lose. That's another way we would completely lose our country.
Okay,
so.
You're obviously a proven entrepreneur.
Okay, I got to move on. Oh shit. A proven entrepreneur. I fucking can't say it. I can't, all right. That's why I think it was on purpose.
Businessman, you're obviously a fighter. You've got a huge following among the deplorables.
Yeah, that's what you want.
You're saying now that even big donors are reaching out to you because of the problem. Every person.
Again, like he's reading his own like half notes.
That's had this, from Rana to Reince to Haley Barbour, all these guys. They all have, if you look at, there's a commonality. They all have years or decades of experience in kind of the political game. And people have to know that's got its own moves, its own dynamics. I mean, ask Donald J. Trump about the difference between business and being a tough entrepreneur and being in the Shark Tank that is politics.
No. Shark Tank, fuck you. Trump didn't learn that it was like, oh man, you think business is tough. Wait till you get in government. No, in government, you're fucking accountable to the people that voted you in. And you're responsible for the people who didn't. At presidential level, like it or fucking not, you're the president of the whole fucking country, as much as he tried not to be. It wasn't the Shark Tank fucking DC that chewed him alive. Get fucked.
You have none of that experience.
Like, the dude has never had anything but a family fucking business. So he doesn't have shareholders or a board to even answer to. He's never been responsible. He took his dad's company and shit on it for a decade and then decided to like polish the turds and sell them.
What would you say to people saying, hey, you can't come in here as a pilgrim and have God told you to do it? Because you're just going to get chopped up in a million pieces because these moves, they're playing four-dimension chess politically. Well,
didn't he? He's not playing four-dimension. All right. Look, DC may play four-dimensional chess, but Mike Pillow plays three-dimensional chutes and ladders. So get ready, okay? You don't know the kind of moves he can put on somebody. You know what I mean? You think they could do this kind of like power play House of Cards thing? Mike Pillow sells sheets and blankets, too. He could Dutch oven these fuckers.
Say you, sir.
I say that's not true at all. I have been in the last 2 to 4 years, I've been thrown into the political mix. I've been attacked more attacks than probably anyone other than our great real president, Donald Trump.
Our great real president, Donald Trump. Yeah, because Trump's still president or whatever.
I've lived in that space. I know so many of these politicians by name.
Wait, what? You know, like Jim Jordan's name and Rep MTG's name, Marjorie Trailer Green, whatever her name is. You know, Lauren Boba. You know, GYM Jordan.
Both sides, mostly obviously the Republicans.
Yeah, but he's mostly.
But no, I've been there and I've lived it, and
I bought the T-shirt and I'm ready to go. He's been there and he's lived it.
also these guys haven't ran. I don't believe any of them have had to sit atop of a company where you have to make decisions based on things that all of a sudden it's an emergency of all time. We get these all the time here, especially the last couple of years at my companies and my pillow.
Yeah, self-inflicted wounds, you dipshit. Jesus Christ, man. Nobody at My Pillow would have had a fucking single problem if this asshole said, I'm taking a leave of absence to deal with my political beliefs and stuff like this. This has nothing to do with my company. I'm going to continue to promote it, but there's no overlap. The attitude and the ideas I have are not reflected in My Pillow. Bullshit. He promotes RAV and the War Room. He puts this on fucking Lindell TV. They have a show there and on here, and he pays for it. He gives everybody a fucking... Diamond and Silk have a fucking promo code. All these problems are self-inflicted. And secondly, when you're a businessman and you have a business and you're like, shit, we're running out of... We got too much product and not enough customers, or we got too little product and not enough delivery people or whatever, you can hire some people in some cases, which in the citizenry, they just exist. You can't force people to have more kids, right? Or you can't fire the poor just when you're tired of budgeting for them.
And we've got to make decisions. And you know what? I have a proven track record, Steve.
Yes, you're a multimillionaire who eats at Arby's because you like it. Pack a lunch, motherfucker.
I'm out of it unscathed, or even better sometimes, even better. We use a problem and you go, okay, this problem's here. Let's not only fix it, but let's make it better and learn.
Yeah, let's make it a better problem. Wait.
Learn from it, and how can we improve? I've said it before, Steve. In 2012, when I did my first infomercial, I was living in my sister's basement, and I had like 10 employees. 40 days later, I had 500. I was the number one infomercial in the world within 2 months. I built my own call center, everything, and in that space. Well, over the next 6 months, we took in hundreds of millions of dollars.
And then
I couldn't even believe it. But I woke up that day in May, and I was $6 million in debt.
Yeah, you heard it right. Yeah, and on crack.
Because everybody had taken advantage. All these problems had happened internal. We had corruption. There was all kind of things that happened. But I learned from that. I didn't just go, oh no, I'm done forever. I didn't have a bank. I had to, being $6 million in debt. I learned from 2012 to get to where I'm at today. Sold over 75 million My Pillows and thousands of products now, thousands of employees. By
the way, what'd I tell you? What'd I fucking tell you? He's always closing. They're going to bring up the promo code at the end of this.
But if 2012 had not happened, Steve, I wouldn't be here talking to you because...
Well, yeah, if the Mayans had been right, we'd all be gone.
I learned from that very dark time and picked up my feet and fixed it and...
He picked up his feet and fixed it.
Move forward to make it the best ever. And that's what needs to be done with the RNC.
I have such brilliant people as Larry Hogan, Chris Christie, Governor Asa Hutchinson, Nikki Haley, everybody. They're all talking. Morning Joe every morning are talking about how the Republican Party needs to put the divisiveness aside. They can't be a divisive in this Congress.
No.
Everybody has to come together and have a group hug. And what we need to do to win 2024 is
and none of it involves Mike Pillow being in charge of fucking anything.
You have to broaden out things, but you have to drop the divisiveness. People, there might be a couple of three people to say, hey, Mike Lindell maybe ain't Steve Bannon or Donald Trump, but he's one of the he makes the top 5 of divisive. Why would it make sense for the RNC to right now select someone like yourself that comes at a thing with a certain angle of attack, sir?
The only one saying that is the media, Steve. The people themselves, we're uniters. The people, I was just...
The media is concerned that Mike Pillow is not enough of a uniter and that he might be too divisive to run the RNC. Or that he's a complete asshole who would have no idea what he's doing, who might wreck the entire thing, which I'm fine with.
Just in California a month and a half ago, with all these people that they're very liberal, they voted Democrat, they're switching. But they're also afraid of what's going on with the Republican Party. And so...
Then what are they switching to?
I would say it's a uniter. We're really uniters, not dividers. And I will say to all of those that disagree,
this is the greatest revival for Jesus Christ in the history of our world.
If you keep the same input, you're going to get the same output. Failure, failure, failure. With the current footprint we have in the United States, we are at the most critical time in our country's history. If you're going to sit back and go, same old, status quo input, number one, then it's over. You're going to...
That's true. If Mike Pillow is not the head of the RNC, you're done. If you just pick a Republican politician who cares about the party and tries to keep it afloat, that's a recipe for disaster. What you need is someone who thinks he was assaulted with a tangerine and can babble for 3 days straight.
Going to lose. Your donors aren't given, and your party is going to crumble. And it's already...
Don't threaten me with a good time, man.
You can't, if they don't have a plan of something different coming in.
I have a plan. Attack.
Different input, you're going to get the same output, Steve. So I say to that, you want to make this, you want to succeed. You get me elected to all these states where one of those 168 people that I'm going to call each and every one of them and ask them what the problems are and tell them how I'm going to fix it. It's going to be it's going to be a great uniting of our country. I really believe it. Would you go?
I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can tell he believes it by his deflated fucking face and his realization that he's just talked for like a minute and said nothing. What the hell?
Lee Zeldin's talking about running. Ron is obviously talking about running. Would you be open to debate those people on an open stage?
Please, oh Lord. Please, Lord. Please, Lord, gift us with a debate for people to run the RNC live on television. Please, Lord, Lee Zeldin and Herschel Walker after he loses, and Mike Pillow and Marjorie Taylor Greene all debating each other. Lord, I don't ask much, and I don't ask often, but please, could there be one thing, just one, is those 4 assholes leg wrestling over who can run the fucking RNC. Jesus.
With questions thrown out there by the audience to actually debate Rana, debate Lee Zeldin, or anybody that came forward with a credible...
he's just stop talking. He's ready. He's going to burst. I'll debate anybody.
Campaign, would you be open to debate them?
100%. If they've got some ideas, I'd incorporate them in that after I win. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd love to hear their debate. But
No, all right. Not hear their debate, stupid. If you would debate them on how you would run things better than... Fuck me.
People that are afraid of debates have already had previous failures. And
well, for the record, I fear no debate. Just no one will take me on. I don't know what the deal is. Can someone, does anybody watch those, online debates? I never get invited. I wonder why. Because I'm always right and master of the filibuster? Could be. I just think they're jealous of my hair.
And you've seen that.
And by the way, my hair is kind of laying flat today, so I have kind of a Steve Perry meets Bruce McCullough and brain candy Sometimes it's dark. Dun, 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 dun.
And all these elections from like down there in Arizona that Katie Hobbs never wanted to have a debate. That's kind of weird. And then she controls her own election. You think that's a problem? Absolutely. I would.
I do think it was a problem that Carrie Lake is who she was left to run against. Like a straight up election denying maggot Q wannabe turncoat, by the way, who was, like Trump, a faux dem for a very long time.
Welcome it, and I would, as long as they
and hard as the debate could possibly be, just a debate.
They wanted to have it as many times as they wanted to debate.
Oh, you take it and you like it, just as.
If they keep saying let's have another debate, we lost that one. Yeah, let's keep having them the same.
Yeah, that's productive. Let's just argue all the time. Shit. Yes, I have very Danzig hair.
They're same things.
This is as Danzig as my hair ever gets. Mother, tell your children not to walk my way.
They have nothing to go on.
There's nobody, I think, in this country that's a bigger supporter of President Trump than Mike Lindell. And his.
Oh, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people. There's that guy who dresses up as Uncle Sam. There's the front row Joes. There's the side row hoes. There's Diamond and Shellac. Again, that's a debate I would like to see. When are we going to have that? I mean, hold on. That's what we need next. Because I think we haven't decided who the greatest supporter of Donald Trump is. And I think they should all duke it out, metaphorically speaking. They all need to brick suit guy, give him a shot in a microphone. My hair is a bit Thulsa Doom, too. That's true. I do have helmet head. That's true today. I made you, boy. That is strength. That is power. The riddle of steel.
Put his money where his mouth is, and his companies where his mouth is, and his whole person and being. If
and his business where his butt is.
President Trump was to call you up today after seeing this and say, "Hey, Mike, I saw it. I know you. I love you. You're fantastic. You're a great patriot.
But
I think you ought to sit this one out for the good of the RNC and for good of my candidacy in 2024."
If Trump thinks you're a babbling lunatic, and he iterated so much to me just a week ago, and he's like, what a fucking loser. We're doomed if this asshole has the levers of power. What would you say in response? You know it, don't you, boy? That's right.
What would you say, sir?
I would say, I'm sorry, sir, but my decision's already been made. And
yes. God damn it. Suck it up. Sir, yes, sir.
And I prayed about it, and this is God's will, and this is what I'm doing. And
oh, God, it's God's will that he fail at running for the RNC. This reminds me of Sam Kinnison's bit about Pat Robertson running for president. Everybody, I'm going to tell Pat Robertson to run for president. Thanks for making me look like a fucking ass. In the middle of the night, check this out, guys. Come here. I'm gonna tell him to check his tire pressure. Pat, wake up, get up, buddy. I need you to go check your tire pressure.
I'm not. I think I've been straightforward with everyone in this country and the world. When I do my due diligence and when I go all in, I'm all in.
Oh yes. Yeah, nothing's slowing you down from being gullible and bullheaded.
Don't change from that. I will listen to people, but this decision's already been made.
By the Lord, okay? The Lord made this decision. So fuck off, okay?
And nothing's going to dissuade me now. I'm 100% all in.
Except for, of course, losing. He did create an email address on Friday that already gave himself the title.
And when I go...
I'm not kidding. It's Mike Lindell, RNC, at frankspeech.com.
All in, I go all in to win, and I go all in to fix what I've Steve, if all my business...
Fix what you've broken? You almost said
businesses, they've all succeeded because I've learned from my failures. If you have failures, you learn from them, and then you move on, and you...
Great. So we'll look forward to your third RNC run when you finally get it together.
Fix it based on that failure. And this is where we're at in this country, and
Where we are.
it's going to be amazing. I just, I would hope that our real president
Joe Biden
would see that too. That see that the great things he's done, being a businessman. I think he knows me well enough. I've gotten through adversity, which But
Hi, stupid. Listen, you have more money than Donald Trump does. I'm not kidding. Mike Pillow has more money than Donald Trump. The asset to liability on paper and in hidden coffers, hands down, Mike Pillow actually has money. And that's what he doesn't get.
By the grace of God. And people call it a miracle, the stuff that my pillow has gotten through in my companies to be able to get, in spite of all the attacks.
Yeah, I feel the same way about ShamWow. That's still around, even though the ShamWow guy was arrested for battery. And that's how I knew that the actual thing didn't work, because there were blood stains that that connected him to the crime. I mean, ShamWow, what are you fucking thinking? You can't even clean up a crime scene and destroy. Like, what is ShamWow for if not an alibi?
And everything, and it's another thing where it's going to be a great uniting too, because all these people, these 168 members.
He wrote that down. He's got 168 members written on.
They're all going to have to either, open their eyes, and if they, one of the things, Steve, this is.
Well, they don't have to open their eyes. The Lord will open their eyes. He'll speak directly to their heart. They really won't have a choice. Because certainly the Lord wouldn't tell you to run for the head of the RNC and tell any of the members of the RNC necessary to make you that to vote against you.
Nobody knows who they're voting for, so that's one good thing. So they don't have to. They can make a decision based on, hey, where do they see that this could go? Successes, and I believe it'll be that I will win, and then
This is great so far. I mean, you got my vote.
we're going to start some major changes. And I'm not going to say this, Steve, that it's going to take time. It can be done immediately.
Yeah. Okay. We don't. Look, the RNC. The one thing we need to know is it needs to be a dictatorship. They'll vote me in, and then they don't have a say from that moment on. You put me in charge, I run the fucking place.
Like we hit the ground running, and you're going to see change immediately. And you're going to see donors wanting to pour their money, and you're going to see things done immediately.
Oh yeah, like things. Like what?
It's going to be amazing.
Oh, okay, well then I'm sorry. You're right. That's all I need to know. I don't need to know exactly what the fuck you're talking about. Just tell me it's amazing, and you got me. You had me at you know what I mean?
Mike, how do people track you?
Jesus Christ. You're just going into autopilot. How do they find you on the social media? What sites should they go to? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm not.
Because I assume that a lot of people watching now are going to want to track you 24/7. Some for the good some for maybe the less good. Where do they go?
Right. Well, all the horrible media, they have my direct phone number. I expect their.
Excuse me. As an alleged member of the horrible media, I don't have Mike Pillow's number. God damn it. Can somebody get me that number? Anybody who watches the show who's in the horrible media, you know who you are. You all watch me. DM me Mike Pillow's number, goddammit. It's at entrepreneur.com. Oh, God. Hold on. Shit, now I gotta... Give me a second. This is gonna be so bad. Let's see, find it. Rats. Entrepreneur.com is already taken. Mike Lindell is serious about running for RNC. I just literally, 1-800-Entrepreneur. That might be it. I might have to do that. By the way, I'm not going to stick around for him selling the rest of this shit. You're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide, and I think that shows taste and breeding on your part. And I want to thank all of our patrons specifically for making this show possible. As I was traveling over the weekend for Thanksgiving, doing the show from my dad's house, at one point, the internet just cadavered. It just died. And luckily, it came back in like 30 seconds. It was literally like somebody had cut the cable and then repatched it. But when it happened, it made me abundantly aware how, while I was worrying about that, I didn't have to worry about the computer I was using, the mic I was using, the camera I was using, the wires that attach them, the Stream Deck thing that I have, because of our Patreon supporters, right? That it's nice, you know, because when I have a catastrophe, I'm always aware that there are other potential catastrophes that aren't happening. It's that stoic optimism that I manage all the time. So thank you. Thank you, patrons, for that. Now, you're watching that, and then okay, the next thing is, where is it? Okay, so this is kind of off the meathead path a little bit, but this is, Don Jr. Don Jr., that's not Don Jr., by the way. That's an ad from Balenciaga. And this is sickening, the shocking Balenciaga campaign. Now, if you don't know, Balenciaga did this like photo shoot with kids holding bears that are like, they look like they're wearing bondage gear to go with all the shit they were selling. Now, Balenciaga, hold on. Let's see what he says about this. And then I didn't know all that much about it, but it's in the title. So let's look up, let's see, news, Balenciaga there. Oh, that's not good. Why is this? Oh, I see. It's shoes. I didn't write shoes. I wrote. There we go. There we go. Okay, so this is about these ad campaigns by Balenciaga, and apparently there was an image in one of these that Donald Trump green Sudafed style had put a Supreme Court case about child porn visible in the shot. Here we go.
Hey guys, well today we're going to talk about that Balenciaga case. Sorry, I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Don't mean to come right back into.
By the way, the Balenciaga case. All right. Can I just say for the record, like Balenciaga is they're headquartered in Paris, I think. But they're a Spanish company that's been around for fucking ever. Kanye West had a deal with them. So did Kim Kardashian. She's apparently backing away because of this. It's been in the news a little bit. But it's one of those kind of things where you're like, the fuck? Who cares? But somehow, I'm guessing this asshole's going to tie this to, like, is there a picture of Biden and Balenciaga sneaks bicycling or something? I don't know what the fuck this has to do with anything.
The insanity of what's going on in our world.
Okay, just generic. The world is crumbling because his dad isn't president.
So hopefully you had a couple days to decompress. I know that I did, but...
Really? You were in rehab or...
You saw this ad campaign of a...
No, I didn't.
High fashion company, Balenciaga, one of the biggest. They work with the greatest stores all over the world.
Yeah, Kim and Kanye specifically. And your dad had fucking dinner with one of them.
They had
and had the other one at the White House, and then later called her a bitch, I think, to Kanye.
Campaign of young children with teddy bears in bondage and BDSM, I guess. I don't even know what the hell this stuff.
All right, adult people. Can I say this? You don't have to pretend to not know about shit just because you're a fucking grown-up. We had this conversation about pegging a while back. I do not participate in pegging, but I know way too much about it because I'm a comedian and I like to know everything. This whole like ignorance equals innocence shit only works when you're in your early 20s.
That's how crazy it is, but they have children doing it.
Yeah, again, this kid doesn't know what she's standing in front of. Like,
children posing it. Now, they have since removed these posts. They've condemned the people that did it.
Okay. The people that did it? What do you mean they condemned the people that did it?
Magically, right? The arsonists are calling the fire department. We have no idea how this happened, obviously, right? This is what they're trying to tell us, and yet they managed to make an entire campaign around it.
All right, this is him looking at his notes again. And I don't know what kind of level of control they had over this. However, if I may, the company itself isn't just trying to pretend that it's nothing and let it go. They are suing the production company that made it. Balenciaga is headed to court over, let's screen this down a little bit so you can see all of it. Over two controversial ad campaigns this month, one featuring young children holding plush bear bags that appear to be wearing S&M style harnesses, and another, its spring 2023 ad, which includes a page from a Supreme Court decision in which the court upheld a federal statute prohibiting the pandering of child pornography. As long as they're not crossing out parts of it and going, we need to fix this. We'll open that in a new tab and look at it. In the wake of a significant consumer backlash, including widespread calls for Balenciaga's big-name celebrity ambassadors like Kim Kardashian to boycott the brand, Balenciaga has lodged a contract complaint against production company North Six Incorporated, its agent Nicolas Desjardins, the latter of whom designed the set for the spring campaign, alleging that the defendants engaged in inexplicable acts and omissions that were malevolent or, at the very least, extraordinarily reckless. According to a summons with notice filed by the Supreme Court of the state of New York on November 25th, counsel for carrying-owned Balenciaga SAS and Balenciaga SAS and Balenciaga America assert that they are filing a lawsuit against North Six Incorporated and its agent, and Nicolas Desjardins, the defendants, to seek redress for extensive damages they caused in connection with an advertising campaign Balenciaga hired them to produce. Without its knowledge or authorization, Balenciaga claims that the defendants included certain documents in the campaign photographs, including an excerpt from the Supreme Court's 2008 decision, U.S. v. Williams, which appears in the background of an image featuring a collaborative Balenciaga and Adidas hourglass bag, while Adidas is facing backlash from consumers as a result of the thing. Okay, so the bag is laying on top of a bunch of documents that they printed out. There's like a CVS receipt, and then but this part right here is from the Supreme Court case. As a result of the defendant's misconduct in connection with the SS23 campaign, Balenciaga alleges that members of the public, including the news media, have falsely and horrifically associated Balenciaga with the repulsive and deeply disturbing subject of the court decision. This includes monetary damages of no less than $25 million. In the midst of public backlash campaigns, Balenciaga released a statement via Instagram saying, "We take this matter very seriously and are taking legal action against the parties responsible for creating the set and including unapproved items for our Spring 23 campaign photo shoot. We strongly condemn the abuse of children in any form. We stand for children's safety and well-being. It is not immediately clear what claims they have lodged against the defendants in connection with the contract lawsuit." That's it. Okay. That's their statement that they made on Instagram. Okay, and then the other one, Nicole Kidman, Bella Hadid pose in office for Balenciaga Spring 2023 campaign. So these folks posed in this, and then one of them that they're not in, yeah, so they're just doing clothing poses, whatever the fuck. And then at the end of it, there's a pile of shit on the table, and they put the purse on top of that stuff. Which, by the way, if the idea is that you're having that court case open, that you're fighting it or something, isn't bad. I mean, like, again, it's not being against the thing, but it seems like they just printed up some very serious stuff and spread it around and like, oh my God, and yada yada. Like, I honestly couldn't give two shits. But apparently, this is somehow indicative of something
beyond the bondage bears They had text from a Supreme Court case ruling, apparently what I've read.
So you didn't look for yourself? It took me all of 4 seconds.
About child porn in there. So, like, not exactly surprising that there's some backlash, but the fact that they went out and did it shows
what?
Just how crazy these people have become, right?
No. What the fuck?
It's another conspiracy theory, right? No one's sexualizing our children. No one's doing any of these things, right? We won't look into the Epstein client list of the...
Dude, your dad's on it.
Because it's not real, right?
Sure, it's real. Your dad is on it. You can argue that it vanished because your dad became president.
Yet another conspiracy theory that's probably 100 billion% correct, that they're going to do nothing about it, right?
Again, 100 billion% correct is like childish numeric exaggeration is a sign of a weak mind.
They're going after Elon Musk for basically saying that removing child sexual exploitation from Twitter is going to be a top priority.
Who is? Who is going after Elon Musk for that?
It should have always been a priority, but the celebrities' reaction is like, oh my God, this place is going to hell.
Yeah, no one reacted to a statement from Elon Musk saying child exploitation on Twitter is like not allowing it as a top priority. Fucking no one.
Guys, they're condoning this stuff.
No, they're not. They're suing because they're literally suing the production company that made the ads.
There's articles being written, be like, well, why restrict child porn but not guns? I mean, this is the kind of thing that...
Why restrict child porn but not guns? No. Pardon me, stupid. But if your complaint is that they wanted more child porn, the article would lay out if we're allowing guns, any kind of gun under the Second Amendment, we should allow child porn under the First Amendment. Now, I myself, in many times, have said that the Second Amendment is not absolute, and wanting to have machine guns is the equivalent in the free speech realm of wanting to have child porn. These people are, if the language around the Second Amendment is somehow sacrosanct and absolute, the language around free speech in the Constitution is far more direct. Like, it's open to almost anything. But only a fucking moron would want legalized child porn. The same thing is true of fucking machine guns in polite society. If you need a machine gun for self-defense, you are fighting cops and soldiers. You're the problem.
That these people are thinking. The lunacy has to stop.
Yeah, the lunacy has to stop in France and Spain, and they sued those people, so I guess it has.
We have to hold these people accountable.
How? What the fuck is this? Are we finally? Yes, we must rise up against ad companies that make outrageous ads for fashion designers.
We have to make sure they feel it if they're going to do these sorts of things to our children.
Okay, first of all, they're not doing these kind of things to your children. These are ads for adults. Secondly, the kids in those ads don't know what the fuck they're standing. There were two, I think two of them. Hold on. Okay, Kim shaken by fashion. We got images. Let's see if I can find the pictures. Yeah. Okay. Here's the. Yeah. Let's try to do this. Visit. Here you go. Hold on. Let's see. 1 second. Here we go. Balenciaga finally cops to mistakes in disturbing BDSM ad. Here's okay. So this is the one picture that he showed already. They wrote this thing out and they're like, "Fuck this." That's one of the ads right there. This one looks more like a goth bear. It's a. By the way, these are these are purses. It's their purse line. So it's all the stuff that goes in your purse. This bag, this little bag, this shit. Okay, so that's how they're selling. He's got Balenciaga over here, and this is the little outfit. This to me looks more like, and you can't. She's got a lock around her neck. The teddy bear, which has one blue eye and one red eye, whatever the fuck. Yeah, this one definitely looks like a BDSM like strap thing to me on this bear. And this one doesn't. It's a duck anyways. I don't care what anybody says. There's definitely some other striped stuff. Nice going, New York Post, by the way. So this is the other ad, which looks goth to me. Like there's bats on the walls and dragons. Or those are all dragons. Okay, they're all dragons on the wall, and then moons and whatever. It's the moon phases on the thing, and da-da-da-da. And there's a little bunny that seems to be dressed relatively normally. But this looks like a goth bear kind of outfit. The other one definitely looks like a BDSM kind of strap thing or whatever. But they're suing the company that made it because apparently Kim Kardashian thinks that some things are inappropriate for public. Yeah. Because his decision featured challenge pleasure was beating the Lux retailer then explained that third parties supplied the documents for the ad that was the other one. Third parties, that was the director or whoever was producing it. They're suing them for reckless negligence. Mainly that's the other one. It doesn't seem like they're suing the production company for this because they definitely signed off on these pictures. But yikes. Oh, and P.S. There's another story here. This thing that just kind of came up. Crypto founder Tien Kullander unexpectedly dead at 30. Hong Kong digital asset company Amber Group died in his sleep on November 23rd with news confirmed. With the deepest sadness and heavy heart, known as TT, launched in 2017 with a bunch of financial insiders, including former Goldman Sachs Group and Morgan Stanley workers. Before that, he worked as a trader for both of them. Earlier this year, the startup reached a staggering $3 billion valuation after scoring a $200 million funding round. Earlier this month, revealed the company is in the process of raising $100 million, put in his heart and soul, and then he just, okay, hopefully he passed in his sleep and there was no funny business. Yikes. Anyways, so again, what the fuck does this have to do with anybody else but this company and their attempt to make an edgy ad campaign?
When I say feel it, of course I mean financially.
Yeah, we know, stupid. You're a macho dickhead who likes to talk big, but nothing ever happens. Also, nice pec implants. Also, they are feeling it. That's why they're suing that other company because of lost business.
Stop supporting these lunatics. I promise you.
Yeah, you're right. I'm no longer buying any fashion items sold by Kim Kardashian or Kanye West from a French-based Spanish high fashion designer. I just won't do it.
There's great places that you could spend $5,000 and get a much cheaper handbag that looks much better. Okay, you don't have to spend it.
Yeah, and believe me, Don Jr. knows handbags.
Balenciaga, I promise you. Okay? No one needs $2,000 sneakers or whatever the hell else crap they're selling, okay?
By the way, Kanye sells those sneakers.
We have to come out against this stuff.
Everybody is. What the fuck? Who's we?
They took down the post. They write their sort of half-hearted apology. You know, they don't contribute to stopping child pornography or child trafficking for these. No. That's not, that's a step too far. I mean, that would probably be their client base.
Jesus Christ. So Kim Kardashian, according to this prick, and Kanye West have been working for a company that traffics children because of 2 fucking photos in an ad campaign. What's the aim of this fucking video? Is he going to tie this somehow to Democrats or something? Because other than that, I'm like, what maggots are buying this shit?
But we have to stand up and we have to step out and we cannot.
We got to step out and stand up and rise to it.
Keep supporting these lunatics, okay? This doesn't happen by accident. You can't have this much coincidence, right?
This much coincidence. It's like literally the first time an ad of theirs has ever been controversial. Did they have? Does anybody know? Does Balenciaga have a long history of child exploitation? And if so, what the fuck? Kim Kardashian and Kanye West didn't know this shit?
Conspiracy theories. It's magic. It's like fact. Oh, it's a conspiracy theory. Stop.
Okay. So because they have this ad, regardless of the fact that they pulled it after backlash and all that kind of stuff, according to Junior, this means that the people at Balenciaga, the people who run it, the people at the top, and the people in the ads, I suppose, the other ad, not the one, who, the children, are adrenochrome drinking child sex traffickers. I don't know who the fuck he's talking about. These are his dad's friends. This is just rich fucks his dad used to hang out with before they got bored with him.
Okay, none of these things are conspiracy theories anymore, right?
Yes, they are. Nobody knows what the fuck. What's the conspiracy theory here? Because honestly, I think he means like the QAnon adrenochrome shit, right? Literally child sex trafficking and the consumption of child like spinal fluid and adrenochrome and their blood because, you think they're going after Kanye with this? Is this how they do it? Time Brit, they cancel him away? Because if he's saying this isn't a conspiracy, it's true. Again, where's the proof? Like, if it was, I don't even know who the fuck those ads were selling to in the first place. Who flips through a magazine? We'll go to the Balenciagas in Italy. This is, we're going to go to their Spanish villa for the child eating this year.
A conspiracy theory ends up being right. It feels like 99.9% of the time.
99.9%. No, they don't. The earth isn't flat. We went to the moon. Lizard people don't run the fucking earth. Bitcoin is a terrible idea. Fuck off. No, they don't. The World Economic Forum is not using COVID to create a great reset. And if China attacked us with a bioweapon, your fucking dad was president during the worst bioweapon attack in American history, and his only response was to sell the people who did it more pork.
These days. Stop supporting these people. Stop supporting the people that support them.
All right, how deep is this going to? Stop supporting the people that support the people that support the people. And what I'm talking about is those goddamn pretzel vendors in New York City. The ones down in Soho, near the Fashion District. Because you don't understand, their carbs go into the guts of the people that buy and sell the threads that go into the things that end up wearing in an ad campaign that become where adrenochrome.
Don't enable this kind of behavior. Our children's future totally depends on it.
All right, I don't know how fucking high do you fucking have to be to do a video like that and think, yeah, that's postable. That makes sense. I hands down, clearly the biggest pile of raging bullshit gibberish ever from Don Jr. And that says a lot. You think it sounds like he's making a content for when he gets busted for Jeffrey Epstein? You might be onto something there. I mean, there certainly is an idea that you throw some smoke in there, because if the Epstein list ever comes out and you see that every time Bill Clinton's name is written, it's in that Don Senior scratch writing, where it looks like a seismograph, just right, just to get out ahead of the news. It's to put a question in the MAGA heads? Yeah, possibly. Entrepreneurship, yes. All right. Where do they go? Again, well, okay. What could be the other purpose of this besides the fact that he just needs filler? He's got to crank out a video and it'll trigger some people to look at it. The assumption that if you come out against it, if other people don't talk about it because it's fucking nothing, that you're against it and they're for it because they're not bothering to talk about it. So you can automatically create sort of like, it's like cause marketing or kind of social smoke screens to cover, like, because Q, we all know that like the whole QAnon thing is just a front for pedophiles anyways. Like the people who they always get busted. There's always some, random suckers in there who think, oh my God, the children. And then everybody else who's like deep and you're like, oh yeah, I'm here to help the kids, right? Those are the people who always get busted 100 billion% of the time, guys. Now, you're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. I don't know what was more ridiculous. Don Jr. and his blather, Mike Pillow running for the head of the RNC, or Jimmy Dore, who apparently thinks the United States is over. That's it. It's just over. 5,000 views. The Jimmy Dore Show wants you to know that America is done.
So our good friend Turncoat Don, who's done some great...
Oh, I see. So, all right. Well, we'll see. Hold on one second. Go ahead.
Great video work. This guy's fantastic. He did a video, and he calls it The Recipe for the Collapse of an Empire.
So why aren't we watching the Turncoat Don Show?
And this is actually very, very powerful.
Okay. I can't watch it and decide that for myself. You can't say, I think it's very powerful, or I felt this was very powerful. You're just telling me it is? Oh, good. Well, that's how a cult works.
So I'm going to play it, and I'm going to try not to stop it.
I see. You're going to borrow other people's content and use it for your show. Gotcha.
See if we can do it.
I'm going to guess you're going to make faces. Otherwise, you would just put it up on the screen.
Congress taking quick action, approving a $13 billion deal to help Ukraine.
School districts across our area tell us they're seeing significant increases in children that are homeless.
I'm announcing another $800 million to further augment Ukraine.
All right, why is Jimmy licking his lips when they say school children?
A revealing look at homelessness among the middle class.
U.S. have announced new military assistance for Ukraine. They've promised an extra
Okay, that's 4/25/2022. That's the only date we've seen on any clips.
$713 million.
We experienced as a county a 22%
or 18
increase in homelessness.
The Senate overwhelmingly passing a new $40 billion Ukraine aid bill.
We are learning the homeless problem we are seeing in Knoxville is growing at an alarming rate.
The U.S. is sending an additional $700 million.
Okay, so the gist of this whole thing is that America helping Ukraine, it doesn't help Americans who are on the street, that we don't give a shit about homeless people because we're helping support Ukraine. Even though you could say this about any aspect of the U.S. budget. $1
million in military aid.
We're in dire straits. We don't know where we're going to go. We have no safety.
By the way, this also has to do with the eviction moratorium coming to an end. So they're running interference stories in a lot of places about that on a regional or local level.
The U.S. is sending an additional $1 billion in weapons and aid to Ukraine.
The CEO of the Coalition for the
So Jimmy wants us to send homeless people to Ukraine instead, I guess.
Homeless of Central Florida tells me this is a scary trend.
Pentagon announcing today it's sending a new $450 million military package to Ukraine.
By the way, most of the time when you hear these reports, there was a $40 billion that was allocated in the early part of the year. And then as each part goes out, these pieces have to be signed off on what they entail, because there's an overall budget for it. And then each part has to be signed off on so that in the $40 billion, you don't send them a nuclear weapon. So each thing as it goes out has to be okay.
We are going in depth on the issue of homelessness. Of course,
a growing problem here in Colorado.
The U.S. sending an additional $400 million in military aid.
Rising housing costs and inflation are leading to more people living on the street.
The United States is sending another $1 billion in military aid.
69,000. That's how many people are homeless across LA County.
A new aid package is going to be announced tomorrow, including an additional $3 billion to train and equip Ukrainian forces.
Sacramento's homeless.
Imagine going, why are we sending troops over to try and free the people in Auschwitz when we've got homelessness and poverty in the United States? Like, and by the way, if you think food insecurity is a problem currently, imagine what it was in the early parts of the 20th century, or midway through it.
Population had a jump of 67%.
The White House now asking Congress for more than $13 billion in additional.
Look at, why is he going?
Military aid. More than 2,500 students within.
And it's raining. Why can't we send the rain to Ukraine?
In the district don't have a place to call home.
Yeah, Katie, and that's 1,000 more from last year.
Well, the Biden administration preparing to send another $600 million military package to Ukraine.
There's a stark warning from city officials tonight as they're seeing a record.
By the way, this is Jimmy's take on this now because Russia's getting its ass kicked. So the biggest thing is like, why are we sending this money to these people and it's working and they're winning when we should be spending it here on the, I mean, this is no different than Rep MTG's border wall bullshit.
Number of families out on the streets.
$275 million to meet Ukraine's critical security and defense needs.
One LA County city.
By the way, Jimmy works down at the mission, the homeless mission, Tuesdays and Thursdays without fail. He's done it for 10 years. He serves soup there and helps people. I'm fucking with you. He doesn't do any of that shit.
Is close now to declaring a state of emergency over homelessness. The White House is also asking for $37.7 billion.
Hold on one second. The Biden administration announces first ever funding opportunity for coordinated approaches to address unsheltered homelessness, including resources for rural communities. HUD package includes $322 million, including $54.5 million set aside for rural communities for permanent housing, supportive services, and other costs. Package also provides $43 million to fund approximately 4,000 new incremental housing choice vouchers. The Biden administration, through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, today released a first of its kind package of resources to address unsheltered homelessness and first of its kind, first ever. First of its kind. Not any previous administrations doing it, first of its kind. Including funds set aside specifically to address homelessness in rural communities. There we go. Let's see. We have a responsibility to ensure that people sleeping in their vehicles, in tents, or on the streets, including in rural areas, have access to decent, stable housing and services like healthcare and treatment to live with dignity and safety, said Department of Housing and Urban Development Secretary Marcia L. Fudge. Solving unsheltered homelessness means delivering, by the way, there's a difference, you'll see this category come up, unsheltered homelessness. This means people who are homeless, not by choice. This is not people who are like drug tourists in LA who are sleeping in tents and using and dealing drugs as a lifestyle choice, which there's an increasing number of. That's a big portion of, especially as in places with good weather, that is a consistent issue. You've got people who are convicted sex offenders who don't want to register, so they live on the street so they can be near their victim pool, that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, when the movements to decriminalize homelessness or try to make sure that people aren't able to ask people to move and those kind of things, don't allow you to go in and ask people who they are, so A, they can get services, and B, so you can make sure to weed out the criminals that live amongst them, because they can be dangerous to the surrounding communities, not the least of which was the somewhere in the order of 200 sex offenders found in and amongst the Chicago homeless population. Is that the problem of any of the other homeless people? No. Do you want to separate those people from the homeless people because they will prey on them first? Yes. Okay. means delivering help to people who need it the most, but who have the hardest time reaching it. It means putting housing first and healthcare and other supportive services right after. With this funding, communities will have the resources to scale up coordinated efforts to humanely and effectively move people from encampments into homes by linking homeless outreach with healthcare, treatment, and housing. By the way, in the United States, you cannot forcibly put someone, institutionalize them simply for being homeless. You can run them off because it's public property, but you can't make them go someplace. Unlike the Russians, who you can make, grow sunflowars.
$1 billion to fund the war in Ukraine. Housing prices are up 17% from the previous year, and you can.
11/3/2022. Where is she? Doesn't say.
See the fallout
CNBC.
of that just right behind me here.
Hey, what about the homeless in Ukraine, Jimmy? Billions in weapons sales boost morale. You know that.
By the way, I think that's a Kurt Metzger written joke. He's reading that from his little clipboard. By the way, he's very upset that Russia is losing.
Homelessness, it's a terrible shame, but we can't give Putin a win. So this is how all empires end. And that's
Yeah. That's what it is. The United States is crumbling because Ukraine is winning the war and we have homelessness.
how we're ending. We're overextending ourselves militarily, and we're trying to.
How are we overextending? We are spending 5.6% of our military budget and we have contributed to wiping out 50% of Russia's military readiness. That's the ratio. The fuck is he talking about?
Rape the world for our benefit.
We're going to rape the world for our benefit. That's what we're doing. How are we doing that? Hold on one second. Jimmy's a big fan of the Wagner group, the Wagners. He loves these guys. These are his dudes. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Whoops. Somalia. There you go. All right. Let's just do this. Here's Jimmy's idea of a good time. Russian Wagner group tied to atrocities in Mali. Since Russia's Wagner Group mercenaries arrived in Mali, civilians have been increasingly caught in their crosshairs. After hundreds of Wagner Group fighters deployed in Mali purportedly as trainers and advisors in December 2021, at least 71 Malian people were killed by government-aligned security forces, according to the report by Human Rights Watch. There's been a dramatic spike in the number of civilians, including suspects, killed by the Malian army and armed Islamist groups. The complete disregard for human life, which includes apparent war crimes, should be investigated and those found to be implicated appropriately punished. The Wagner Group is private military company that observers generally agree operates with connections to Russia's national security apparatus. President Vladimir Putin and his rich cronies, its use gives Russian influence with plausible deniability. Let's see, hold on. This is ADF magazine. Give me 1 second. Mm-hmm. Hold on. One of the first things that came up was one of my tweets. Here you go. This is it's from the Daily Beast. 1 second. Putin's private army accused of committing the most heinous massacre yet. Ibam in Cameroon. It was the most barbaric act of violence Nasser Ali said she witnessed since the Central African Republic became Russian mercenaries, welcomed Russian mercenaries from the infamous Wagner Group, which some have called Vladimir Putin's private army, about 4 years ago. While having a conversation with a female friend under a mango tree about 50 yards from his home and having a good view of his compound where they both stood in Western Kar village of Bezere, the 32-year-old said he watched from afar as a dozen Russian paramilitaries who appeared from nowhere dragged the wives of two of his neighbors out of the compound, stabbed them in their abdomen, and disemboweled the two women. The women were screaming and begging for mercy. Ali, who now lives as a refugee in Cameroon, told the Daily Beast. The white soldiers, as many Kar refer to the Wagner mercenaries, didn't listen. They killed a woman and removed their stomach and intestines. And that's where Jimmy's like, why can't we have that here? Why wouldn't we want the same thing to happen, to spread across Europe? Fucking hell.
And that's exactly.
By the way, Jimmy probably thinks that's propaganda. The Human Rights Watch and all, they're just in on it.
How empires end. We have 1,000 military bases around the world.
Yeah, and none of them are in Ukraine. Your point?
And we can't fix our homeless problem?
Well, you don't fix Americans. You provide them with opportunities, and they're not the same people all the time. It's a rotating group of people. They move in, they move out of it, they receive services. There's a number of homeless people, but it's not the same homeless people. It constantly requires responding to it. It does require middle-out house building throughout the entire country, which, by the way, is already happening and threatening to cadaver the housing market in 2023. Hold on, I'd have to. Oh, I see. I can write. Hold on. I wrote I mistyped 2023. I put 23023 and it gave me a zip code. Morgan Stanley slashes its U.S. housing market outlook. Here's where it sees the home price correction going in 2023 because it was overdoing it. Housing market projected to fall in 2023. What you should know about it. What will the housing market crash in 2023? Why experts think a housing market crash will drag into 2023. The forecast for the national housing market over the next 5 years. Home prices will fall in 2023, but affordability will be its worst since 1985. Research firm says. Okay, this will be that Capital Economics predicts buyers will gain more power in the housing market next year because there'll be not a lot of stuff, and they think it's going to be all about the percentage. House prices will fall 8% next year, but high mortgage rates and a possible recession will continue to hurt affordability. Okay, that's temporary versus the actual prices. So
we just send enough money to fix homelessness to Ukraine. We sent enough money to Ukraine to fix homelessness 5 times over.
Citation needed.
We could have no homelessness in America if we wanted. That's how much $100 billion is.
Nope. Again, the federal government can give a certain amount of money, and they do. I mean, that's what HUD is. Housing and urban development, their primary thing is keeping housing affordable and trying to make it, it available and run the Section 8 program and all that kind of shit. Every success HUD has is a homeless person that didn't occur. So let's see. What's the HUD budget? Fiscal year 2023 HUD budget. March 28, 2022, the Biden-Harris administration submitted to Congress the president's budget for fiscal year 2023. The budget request is $71.9 billion for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, approximately 11.6 more than 2022 annualized, including continuing resolution CR level to support underserved communities and equitable community development, increasing access to and production of affordable housing, promote homeownership, wealth building, advance sustainable communities, climate resilience, and environmental justice, and strengthening HUD's internal capacity. We spend that every fucking year. Every year. Now, if you want to bitch about who runs HUD and how they prioritize stuff, have at it. But the idea that this one-off to support Ukraine, which, by the way, most of the numbers he's citing are Lend-Lease, which means they have to pay us back with interest, is pretending that HUD hasn't existed for fucking years. And then states have their own version of HUD.
Turncoat John, I like he says class war, not culture war. Universality, Medicare for all, UBI. If there were no poor people, there'd be no poor people of color.
Look how he's like, huh? Huh?
No to censorship. Yes to free speech.
Yes to free speech. It's all so sad.
Yes, millions live on the street in our country, because the corporations control our government.
Is that why?
But let's fight fascism.
Jimmy's, again, pissed that Russia is losing. You have to understand, Jimmy was telling us that Russia was a failed Ukraine was a failed state about 2 months ago. Hold on. So, there you go, Jimmy Dork. And, yeah, we go to his channel, and then we'll have this so it doesn't play. He's live right now. Let's see. Videos. There we go. Let's see. This is the video. This is his generalized videos. This is the names of while killing Assange. U.S. Gov pretends to care about persecuted Russian journalists while killing Assange. Assange has been avoiding prosecution in a foreign country, he was staying in the Ecuadorian embassy. He hasn't been in a fucking prison or even under house arrest in the United States. It's absurd. Again, if he had served his term when it first happened, he'd be out by now. FDA fail. This is the Jimmy Dore makes Sam Harris rage quit Twitter. I wish. Yeah, creepy, disgusting, and wrong. There you go. BDSM, teddy bears. He's doing that. Basically, he just gets the same list of topics that Junior gets. And I think these are people calling him in, pretending like this is people doing voices. So he does that. Yeah, Bernie, war pigs. Bernie and the progressive movement. Bernie turned progressive movement into a rotting corpse. That's this one right here. It's over. Senate votes overwhelming to end COVID emergency. Right. Iran executing 15,000 protesters. Oh, Iran executing 15,000 protesters is total bullshit story. Blatant lie. Okay, first of all, they voted, the majority of the parliament did that. Oh, let's jump into this one then.
We got some more propaganda. So just remind me, this will help you inform everything you hear about war between now and the end of your life. This will help you understand what's going on. Peace is not good for business. War is. Just so you know, Trump and Kim handshake, talks of peace sinks U.S. defense stocks. This is 4 hours ago. There's no date on this. Obviously, this is Kim Kardashian. Kim Jong-un. Okay. Beck, I got a question. Is this headline supposed to be taken as a positive or a negative? I'm joking. Clearly, it's a negative.
Honestly, how are you supposed to take that? Great. Now our stocks are down.
Okay, this is USA Today.
They had the Iraq war. They had the Libya war. Now we got to go into Iran.
We're not going into Iran.
And so this is the big propaganda. They were saying that Iran sentenced 15,000 protesters to death. That's what they were saying.
Who's they? You probably saw this viral Instagram post claiming that Iranian government's 50,000. The post got almost 900,000 likes before being taken down for false info, but the incident proved disinformation. Okay, this is some other site putting it up. Who's they then? Who posted this?
You probably saw this. It went viral.
I saw it all over Instagram.
This post got 900,000 likes before being taken down for false information, but the incident proved how disinformation can be used to manufacture consent for war.
All right. By the way, we're not going into Iran. Nobody's even suggested it. This isn't like, we've got to do this. Nobody is even talking about that. They're just, even the people who got the attention of that, or followed the attention of that particular post, were just disgusted and angered by the fact that the parliament, well, we'll see if he answers it. Tell him what the actual parliament did.
Well, smart guy, how do you know it was false?
Yeah.
Iran is a bad guy of all bad guys, and they'll do anything.
Yeah, and also, how do you know the 900,000 likes weren't people that like that they're executing 15,000 people?
Yes.
That's Kurt's jokes. He's reading Kurt's joke.
So that was all made up. It was based on, they say this was based on a Newsweek article that cited a CNN article as proof that Iran's parliament voted to execute 15,000 protesters. The problem is that the CNN article didn't say that.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the problem. Wait, so you're telling me Newsweek is illegitimate,
illiterate,
and illiterate?
Oh, he misread his joke. What? Why is illiterate a better punchline?
I feel like that's the real story here. Next time you have trouble,
fuck, this is like Greg Gutfeld's like stunt double.
Have someone sound out the words for you, Newsweek.
Yeah.
There's no shame.
Like the DePape story, whoever wrote this article about the 15,000 people getting executed will get promoted.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Iran votes to execute protesters. Says rebels need a hard lesson. Doesn't that sound like some kind of a porno, just a little bit?
Yeah. Hard lesson.
Rebels need a hard lesson.
Okay, these are jokes that Kurt wrote down for him.
Give him Viagra. So
They're
here,
going to be executed with Viagra.
So the misleading allegations largely stem from this report. This is Iran International English, but this isn't an Iranian. This is funded by Saudi Arabia, which is Iran's enemy, and so they put this out. And this says that.
And Jimmy hates Saudi Arabia not because of Jamal Khashoggi, but because the Houthi rebels who give Nazi salutes are he stands them.
227 Iranian lawmakers urged judiciary to sentence detaining protesters to death. So the Saudis are the ones telling us that the Iranians just sentenced 15,000 people to death, or as Saudi Arabia calls it, Tuesday. Is this like a congrats from the Saudis or something? Are they jealous because they...
Okay, he's reading the jokes. Get to the part whether or not you decry that.
They're always Harding to her. That's a joke that falls on deaf ears with a guy like Jackson, I bet.
Oh, you know about Tanya Harding.
Do you know about Tanya Harding, Jackson? No.
Wow.
No.
I forget he's only 23.
Yeah. What year was that? Was that the parliament? But they didn't. What did the parliament do? The parliament signed a letter calling for protesters to be punished to teach them a lesson. It did not say execute them. CNN states a few protesters are facing charges that carry the death penalty based on the severity of the alleged crimes, but most have not gone to trial. And here it is underneath. It says, in an open letter signed by 227 of Iran's 290 members of parliament, Press TV reports that the lawmakers call for protesters to be taught a good lesson to deter others who threaten to their authority of the Iranian government. So it doesn't say that was all made up. That was all manufactured. Now, are they going to kill some people? I bet they do.
Yeah, but those people have it coming, and they're not 15,000 of them. It's probably closer to 1,500. So I don't even know why we're complaining.
But not 15,000.
I think it says in there they have one person who said... Oh,
Iranian courts have handed down one protest-related death penalty on November 14th to a protester who was convicted of setting a government building on fire.
What?
Oh, you mean like have any of the Antifa guys been sentenced to death, even the ones that were caught? And understand, Jimmy thinks Iran better than USA. Just be
at least they're formal about it. Here in the United States, we just have like 50% of murders that go unsolved at the end of the year, you know?
What? All right. Anyways, gibberish. Let's go back to the other gibberish. 50% of murders that go on. What the fuck? Is that Jackson Hinkle's? Is he trying to make the point that the U.S. government murders those people, and that's why we don't know who murdered them, because these are state-sponsored executions? Fucking hell.
Hey, if you're worried about the homeless out in the cold winter this winter, nuclear war is the best portable generator. Remember that. And this guy is a Putin puppet, Kremlin stooge, and a white supremacist.
Well, I wouldn't know because he's not a real person. It's a caricature account. Doesn't show his face, doesn't say his name. Kind of matters.
That's what you get, Don.
That's not his real name.
That's what you get.
That's a Trump graphic from South Park.
Wow. So I when you see a video like that, the first thing that pops in my mind is I wonder when the American people are going to rise up against their corporate controlled, corrupt, 100% corrupted government that is their enemy.
By the way, this sounds a lot like Mike Pillow. And I got to say, the first thing that occurred to me is because, like, my girlfriend and I, like, we were traveling on Thanksgiving this year, but a lot of times she and I both have done, like, soup kitchens and homeless shelters where you hand out socks and clothes and food on Thanksgiving. It's one of the regular ones. We're doing it closer to Christmas this year because I was traveling with my kid and she was traveling with her kid and, that kind of back and forth. But it just made me go, we need to do more to help homelessness in the country, help the homeless. That's where I went immediately. Not that, oh shit, these people are homeless because of Chick-fil-A.
Government is your enemy.
Or Amazon.
Not Russia. Your government is your enemy, not Syria. The United States government is your enemy, not half of its residents. The United States government is your enemy.
By the way, when he says half of its residents, he means MAGA. He means the deplorables, the idea that, and he's furthering that talking point about that Hillary meant all Republicans when she said the basket of deplorables. Otherwise, which, by the way, why would she say basket if that were the case? Or that the speech where Biden was trying to separate the people, the maggots from the run-of-the-mill Republicans, saying there's a difference here. Some people like democracy, however messy it is, and other people are against it. He's saying, no, they are all maggots. They are all deplorables.
Not Venezuela, not Brazil, not Yemen, not
the Houthi rebels who say Heil Hitler and death to the Jews. No, they're my buddy. They're my friends. I didn't realize. It was good.
Afghanistan.
Are we still in Afghanistan?
Not Iran, not Iraq. Your enemy is the United States government that is crushing the worker every day while pillaging your U.S. Treasury, giving it to the military-industrial complex, Wall Street, Big Pharma, and sending it to the most corrupt country in Ukraine.
The most corrupt country in Ukraine? Is there a little tiny... Is Moldova? There's a little slice of Moldova inside?
Your U.S. government is your enemy, and I just wonder what...
I just wonder what the fuck you don't realize that just by saying that, you prove that you're in a superior country. Seriously, Jimmy, set this fucking show up in any of those, in Iran, in Yemen. Set his show up in Russia, in China. Say the same fucking thing about anything wrong with those governments. Try it. Just visit. You don't even have to move there for good, although I doubt you'll be coming back.
When we're going to have enough homeless people for them to actually start to rise up. Do you know 40% of homeless people have jobs in Los Angeles? 40% of homeless people have jobs.
Yes, and 60% of homeless people are temporarily homeless for a period of time. They're homeless while they're couch surfing. That includes homeless people. If they're sleeping in their car temporarily. We know. That's why there are homeless shelters and soup kitchens and programs. It's why there's HUD. It's why there's Section 8 housing. The biggest problem of all is not the lack of help, but how complicated that help can be sometimes, and people's own feelings of shame about using it. Don't. If you're ever getting near the edge where you need help, reach out before the crisis happens.
How many of because people like to go, oh, homeless people are just drug addicts, and then they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, is that what people do? Is that what, in Jimmy's world, is that what Jimmy's friends talk like? Is that how you think?
Which is a lie.
It's a lie that people think that.
Are there drug addicts who are homeless? Yes. Are the majority of people who are homeless drug addicts? No. I just told you 40% of the people who are homeless work. And then what about the rest of the homeless people who are kids?
Yeah, we prioritize women with children in shelters. And by the way, they'll still be listed as homeless even if they're in a shelter, even during that transitional part. If you don't, and by the way, I don't think Jimmy has kids, so they tend to grow up. They're no longer kids.
Hey Siri, what percentage of homeless population?
Oh man, wait, hold on.
Are children in Los Angeles?
First of all, that this motherfucker is using Siri as a way of looking up a detail like that. Like he didn't give a fuck till just now. Doesn't that tell you something about fucking Jimmy? He's got other people there. He's got a staff. He's got miserable liberal and whoever the fuck's running his shit. You could ask Jackson Hinkle, who's probably sitting up there, or Kurt Metzger, or any of these fuckers. Let's see. Percentage of Los Angeles homeless children. Nine 9% of LA's homeless in 2022 are under the age of 18. This is from LA Almanac. 32% are female, 16% are in family units, often headed by a single mother. 18% are physically disabled, 9% are developmentally disabled. 41% are chronically homeless. Again, you know what that means? That means 59% of people who are homeless are transitory homeless. They're homeless for a short time, and then they find a place, or they get kicked out of their place and they need to use a shelter, and then they get back on their feet because there's an issue. 41% are chronically homeless. Not that he gives a fuck. 24% have substance abuse disorders. 22% suffer from serious mental illness. I'm sure there's some overlap in there, but they're making some bifurcation. 33% experience domestic or intimate partner violence. There's definitely overlap between that and family units and the number that are female. 9%. Now, 6,500 homeless minors in 2020. Let's see if it's the same details he gets.
Let's see. I got it. It comes up. Homeless in, this is from 2022. The count revealed a 4.1% increase in homelessness in Los Angeles. Oh, it's going up. There's 69,144 people experienced homelessness in Los Angeles County during 2022.
Experienced homelessness. That's not entirely homeless. Again, it's split down the middle. If you're going to solve this fucking problem, you have to solve for the real problem, not your fucking America sucks version of reality so that you can just go, like he's shrugging off these details the same way he thinks that people shrug it off when like they're drug addicts.
Of these, more than 20,000 were provided with shelter on any given night. Although unsheltered homelessness only increased 1%, the numbers of tents, vehicles, and makeshift shelters increased by 17%.
Right, because a good portion of those people are not seeking a way out of homelessness. They are literally, they consider their tent or their car, truck, tiny home thing an actual home. Especially, like, you know, you guys know I used to live in Venice. They park these giant camper vans and these giant trucks that people live in, like school buses converted and all that shit that drive out to Burning Man and all that kind of shit in them. But they live in them 24/7. But the parking is such that in certain areas downtown and in certain parts of the South Side and in certain parts of Venice, largely Venice and the north part of downtown, because if you park on the South Side, somebody will fuck you up while you're sleeping. That's one of the reasons why they park out near the beach. But you can park and there's no rules about your car being there. You can stay there as long as you want because there's a bunch of roads down there that, because Venice is Venice, you won't get a ticket.
This was largely the result of COVID-19 pandemic. Really?
Yes. People lost their jobs. But he's going to say it's because of the vaccine or some shit. Like, he's just finding this shit out on the air. And this will, by the way, there's always a danger when I look up articles and we start talking about stuff. And I'll show you the site that I just used to show everybody what I was talking about, where I looked it up, this part of it right here. Homelessness in Los Angeles. This is the Los Angeles Almanac. This is the same thing that came up for him. I guarantee it. 4.1% increase in homelessness. 1.7 increase, let's see, 2020 to 2022, saw a smaller 1.7 because it actually went down over it retracted because of COVID, because people left. They went home. They went back to other cities in some cases. An estimated 69,144 experienced homeless in Los Angeles County. More than 20,000 provided with shelter on any given night, although unsheltered homelessness has only increased by 1%. This is exactly what he was reading. And makeshift shelters increased by 17%. This is largely a result of COVID and measures taken to minimize the spread of the virus among this highly vulnerable population. That's because people couldn't go into shelters because they're just rows of beds. And during COVID, that was a problem. So everybody just stayed apart. Nonetheless, since 2019, they saw a 62% increase in shelter beds for homelessness. The shelter population increased 12% over 2020. So LA has increased the number of available beds by 62% since 2019. And the people who take advantage of it has increased 12%. One alarming increase found in 2020 count is the Hispanic Latino percentage of homeless population, increasing from 36% in 2020 to 42% in 2022. The number of homeless minors in 2022 was just over 6,500, or 9% of the county's homeless population. The vast majority of these, however, were accompanied by at least one parent or guardian. Although homeless people are found throughout the country, the largest concentration in 2022 continued to be in the metro central Los Angeles region, South LA, San Fernando Valley, and most homeless people are from the Los Angeles area and stay in or near the communities from which they came. About 6% are veterans. African Americans make up 34% of Los Angeles County's homeless population, a highly disproportionate number as compared to the percentage of the African American population in Los Angeles overall, about 8%. So 8% of the people in Los Angeles overall are black, and 34% of the homeless population of the 65,000 people, 69,144 people, 34% of them are black. Now, that's a lot of details to factor in, and there's a lot of varying moving parts in that. So it's hard to come to an immediate decision about what that means overall without diving deeper into those numbers. You could definitely draw some inferences, and you can definitely go, we need more of this, or we need more of this. Or you might find out that they actually tried more of that, and it actually made the problem worse. Or that they think it needs to be more specific to a particular area than the overall county as a whole. That spreading it out over the county doesn't help. It needs to be geographically in these three areas, that kind of stuff. And by spreading it out more geographically, because it seems like it's everywhere, actually doesn't lower the number meaningfully, because it's the people who are in the, in the far reaches of it, or show up on a bench in Beverly Hills, aren't going to go for help. They aren't going to take advantage of the services you're going to put forward. So you're going to put those resources there, but they're not going to be used. That's the stuff that you have to factor in. There's a tendency to have like kind of new information trap if you're not careful. And we're watching it happen with Jimmy right now.
One alarming increase found that in the 2020 count is the Hispanic Latino percentage of the homeless population.
By the way, he's reading the same thing I did. Hold on. Shut the door so I don't yell and bother the rest of the family. Watch him read the same shit that I just read and try to make it fit what the tweet says.
Increased from 36% to 42%. The age of homeless minors in 2022 under the age of 18 was just over 6,500.
Oh, wow. So if you're under 18, you're 6,500 years old.
Or 9% of the county's homeless. So about 10% of the homeless people are kids.
Read the rest of it, dummy.
Are children.
Right. People who experience homelessness, not the chronic homeless. If you have a child in Los Angeles, more than likely you are not chronically homeless. You are first in fucking line for every possible service.
And the vast majority of those kids were accompanied by at least one parent. So it's not runaways.
Right, we know. And by the way, a majority of them accompanied does not mean there aren't runaways. This is, let's see, the vast majority of these, however, were accompanied by at least one parent or guardian. Yes, the vast majority of them. Of those 6,500, 6,000 of them are with a parent. That means as many as 500 runaways at any given fucking time. Again, and those fit into multiple categories. Both, minors that are on the street temporarily and then their parents find them, or minors that turn 18 while they run away because they're 16, 17 years old, and so they're homeless or in and out of, couch surfing and doing that kind of shit for a couple of years, and then they go there, or grouped up runaways. And again, if you're looking at these things, you want to find a solution that helps these particular kids as best you can, and then you have to understand that in 2 years, a 16-year-old runaway is now an adult who's not run away anymore. They're just an adult. Adults can go where the fuck they please. There are no 18-year-old runaways unless you're mentally disabled or something like that, or you are like an old person with dementia and you just left, which wouldn't qualify as a runaway, but you get my point. So you handle each of these groups differently, and the solution for each is different, and the availability of help versus the usage of that help is a big factor in all these things. You have to get people to take advantage of the services you put out there.
Wow, so there you go.
So there you go.
Almost 10%.
By the way, Jimmy thinks there are no runaways, or there's like 4 of them.
Of the homeless population in Los Angeles County are kids.
No. Over around 9%, approximately 9% of the homeless population, of people who've experienced homelessness in 2022, not permanently homeless, not, living on the streets, like more than likely sleeping in a car, sleeping in a van, or couch surfing place to place, are women with children. Hence the need for shelters that take care of them specifically. And the sheltered homeless, the people who take advantage of shelters, are largely those people. And as a city, we spend a lot of money and a lot of effort making sure that those people move right through. So this woman and her 2 kids is not, next year, in theory, not going to be homeless. But because life is gooey and humans are messy, there'll be another woman with her kid that will move into this, and you got to help them too. But Jimmy thinks, reading that there are 6,500 permanently homeless children who never age.
32% are female, 16% are in family units, often headed by a single mother. 18% of the homeless are physically disabled. So that almost 20% of the homeless are physically disabled and they're homeless.
Right. A good portion of them are physically disabled on the street because of things that happened. They have gout. They have an amputated limb. They got gangrene, or they got some other disease that has literally made them lose a limb or harm their back so they can't stand up straight, or they need a wheelchair, which, yes, we know this. And by the way, okay, and if he says kind of a sad state of affairs, because
society does that. Doesn't
the society doesn't do that. It happens to people. Society helps them. That's why we vote the way we do. That's why it matters who's fucking in charge.
Take care of their disabled people.
And by the way, he thinks they're homeless because they're disabled. And we just, like Coca-Cola came over and kicked them out of the fucking house.
9% of them, almost 10%, are developmentally disabled. I'm going to guess that means mentally.
Don't.
So
he's going to guess that developmentally disabled means mentally disabled. Okay.
That's so of the children, the physically disabled and the mentally disabled, that makes up 30%.
Of the people that experience homelessness in 2022, not the permanent homeless. Jimmy can't tell the difference. And again, do you fucking want this solved or not? And do you think it's always the same people? And again, this is part of the issue with homelessness. If you're going to deal with it, you have to solve the actual problem, not what you think it is. Most people talk about the homeless like they're a fucking tribe, and they're not. And the whole goal is to get people, you can't stop people from experiencing hardships in life. But when they hit bottom, you can help them through as best you're allowed to. There are limitations on what you can do as far as we don't have white vans and dudes with fucking butterfly nets catching crazy people anymore like they did back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s because right-wingers think that was going to be used against them in like fucking conservative FEMA camps, so they shut down all that shit because of talk like this.
Of the homeless people are disabled or children.
People experiencing homelessness in a given year.
30%.
By the way, there's some overlap. By the way, my dad, can I tell you guys, let me tell you a little story, if I can. So my dad's an architect. He used to work for the state of Kentucky. And when he was working for the state of Kentucky, he was working on like older buildings. He's sort of an expert in period architecture. So in a lot of these old marble buildings and in these old wood buildings that are classic pieces of Kentucky heritage buildings that were like the Kentucky State Library at one point was a wooden building and had to be rebuilt. I've told some of you the story about how my dad and I made square nails in a mold in the backyard over a fireplace, and we just sat there with a bucket of water and just made square nails. It was a project I did all fucking summer. So, sorry, one somebody said, please give me 5 minutes alone with this piece of shit. Every time the repokes are in charge, my autistic daughter and her program suffer. And fuckface, I took really good care of myself when I was pregnant, so no one to blame. Right, exactly. He doesn't know or give a shit. It's just gross. So anyways, my dad worked on that kind of stuff. And he was working on it in the 70s when the Americans with Disabilities Act reformed how we interact in society. So places got zoned for ramps and got zoned for elevators that could handle wheelchairs, which, by the way, were bigger back then. They've gotten smaller and lighter, and there's been a lot of improvements in wheelchairs. But back then, there was some fucking contraptions, and you could have a handmade one. There was no, there was a bunch of very little standards. And a lot of them could get rusty and shitty, and you could get them secondhand from an old hospital, which is a nasty idea. But anyways, my dad designed all those fucking ramps and had them installed. He did prisons in Kentucky. He did prisons in Florida. He did schools, hospitals. Ironically enough, a lot of hospitals didn't have wheelchair ramps. A lot of the measurement on them did come from sanatoriums where people had to be in wheelchairs all the time. So you took what worked from that. And that was what my dad did. For, aside from private architecture, he would do houses for people on the side, but that was his main fucking job. And it was a meaningful step forward. It was incredibly important. The ADA is one of the most beautiful examples of worthwhile legislation ever passed. Right up there with Social Security, I think. Saving lives, making life better for human beings. And the Republicans try to shut that thing down every fucking year. They're tired of it. They think there's just people in wheelchairs and on crutches and shit like that, and who need to walk with a cane, so they need to walk up a ramp as opposed to steps. They want it. They think, fuck those people. Society should not have to deal with them. And Jimmy's regular thing is, it doesn't matter. The Republicans get in charge, Democrats get in charge, doesn't fucking matter. Well, it does fucking matter. Because the Republicans are against the ADA, the Democrats made it happen. And keep it happening. Make sure that it keeps getting renewed, keeps getting funding. Because just because someone has a permanent or even a temporary physical disability does not mean that they are not valuable to society or don't have worth as a human fucking being. If not for the ADA, our children would have been lost. Oh, man. And so Jimmy's worried about, he's like, oh, there's all these disabled homeless people. You know how we know? Because they give them services. And they take as much service as they want and no more. But the availability of it alone is incredible and necessary. And Jimmy thinks it's just no fucking difference. And that the U.S. government, he's basically going one step further than Ronald Reagan did. Just like fucking douchebag.
24% have substance abuse. So actually less of them are drug addicts than are.
Again, Jimmy doesn't know the difference between people who experience homelessness and chronic homelessness. He skipped right over the part where it says chronic homeless. If you'll notice, because like I said, he's reading from this, right? Again, LA increased its shelter beds available by 62%, which increased the sheltered population by 12% over the course of 2020. Again, one of the biggest problems was COVID. Where's the, let's see. Let's see. Majority of these, what's alarming thing? 69,400 experienced homeless. Yeah, an estimated 69,140 people experienced homelessness in LA County during 2022. Of more than 20,000 were provided shelter on any given night, although unsheltered homelessness only increased 1%. The number of tents, vehicles, and makeshift shelters because of COVID. That's the other thing, too, is that part of this is going to go down over time because people couldn't stay close together. Where is it? He skipped right over 41% are chronically homeless because do you notice that? You notice he went from developmentally disabled to substance abuse? Notice he didn't, I don't think he did, unless I was just talking over it, right?
Children and disabled. There are more homeless people in LA County that are children or disabled than are drug addicts.
No, they aren't. There are more people who experience homelessness in that category than other people. Now, the one guardian that they might be with is included in possibly the substance abuse or the mental disorder part, or included in the disability thing because their mother or their father was disabled and that's how they ended up homeless and all that kind of shit. And so they get help that way. There's a lot of overlap in this. But if you'll notice, he doesn't know the difference between people who are homeless all the time, chronically homeless, and people who experience homelessness. The people who experience homelessness, that's an example of the system helping, of them going, okay, we know you're in trouble. We got something for you. The majority, 59% of people who are homeless in Los Angeles are not chronically homeless. It happens, and then they're helped, and then they go back to having some substance.
So there you go.
No, you don't.
And 33% of them experience domestic violence.
So obviously, I'm guessing what IBM, Bill Gates beat him up,
which also leads to homelessness. So, it always bothers me when I read comments under our videos of people who just repeat some kind of crazy talking point that, oh, the homeless people want to be homeless and you can't help them.
I'm guessing you're paraphrasing.
Really? You can't help children who are homeless?
We are helping them. They're talking about the chronically homeless. And of that, there are three categories of chronically homeless. The drug addicted or the intentional drug user who has no interest in moving up or moving out or is mentally addled by their addiction, which is, a subcategory of that category. The mentally disabled who need to be institutionalized, but we don't have the structure to do that because we used to, and Reagan shut it down. And people seem against the idea of scooping up people who are obviously schizophrenic or mentally disabled and finding a way to medicate them and take care of themselves because it's cruel to leave them out on the street. And of course, drug tourists, which are a third of them as well. And you see a bunch of those once we started legalizing, that people moved out this way.
You can't help.
And they live in Venice in their car, in their truck, in their tiny home that they do little like morning stand-ups in front of. This young lady lives in, it used to be a big deal to be homeless, but this lady is making a big shine of it. And they open it up and inside she's got a whole setup and she plugs into a plug in a nearby store that doesn't know. And then she drives to Burning Man twice a year.
Mentally ill people who are homeless. You can't help physically disabled people who are.
We do all the time. Who the fuck is we can't? Again, I don't understand this. where does he get the idea that LA, especially California, Gavin Newsom, the Democrats that make up the large part of the ruling party in California, bust their ass on this shit all the time? It's that Texas and other states dump their fucking homeless here.
Are homeless, really?
And we still take care of them.
They want to be homeless? It sounds like you're mentally challenged if you believe that. Great job by Turncoat Don. When is America going to revolt against the establishment? I can't wait.
Yeah, it's... Again, what the fuck is he talking about? What do you mean revolt against the establishment? The establishment is what keeps homeless people alive. The establishment is why you have 59% of people who experience homelessness in a year eventually get enough support to get them back on their feet so they're not homeless anymore. And nobody's going to revolt against the government because of drug tourists or their own choices, by the way, of people voting for people who don't want us to reconstitute institutions for the mentally ill so that they don't live on the street. Because that's what the Republicans are against all the time, because it's going to be used like FEMA camps to lock up conservatives. Holy shit. Ugh. Just grotesque. Okay, we got to cheer up after this one. I can't, or cheer down, I suppose. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mayorkas, this is The Border, this is Greg Gutfeld. Resign or be impeached. McCarthy warns DHS SEC as border crisis spirals. Fuck that. Oh. How about this one? McCarthy. Oh, yeah, wait a second. So this guy's got a bunch of turkeys on his wall. Clay Clark's Reawaken America, something or other. And then In Focus with, the fuck is this dude's name? With Teddy Daniels? Who's Teddy? Is he Teddy? I don't know. Biden agrees to pay climate reparations. Oh, this goes to the climate reparations thing. Nice opening. Oh, Addison Smith.
Well, President Joe Biden announced on Saturday that the United States will be paying climate reparations to others.
And we've got homelessness here in the United States, and we're going to pay to fix homelessness because of climate change in another country. Who the fuck does this sound like?
Other countries, because we are stupid, apparently.
I see. We are stupid, apparently. Which is, by the way, before we get too far into this, I would like to remind everyone that the reason we're paying, quote, climate reparations to help shore up these countries is because the climate damage that these countries are experiencing is driving a shit ton of unregulated stampede migration. And the Europeans and the Americans are trying to avoid people having to, race away from their entire communities because it's going to be underwater or it's the entire infrastructure of the area has collapsed, by helping support it so those people don't have to leave and come here. This is something that normally the OAN crowd is all about.
As the Daily Mail details, will cost Americans up to $1 billion to compensate.
Up to $1 billion. Sounds like somebody is using the cost of borrowing money over a 10-year period to raise the number to something that would actually justify a segment.
Compensate developing countries for global warming. However, listen to this, China will not have to pay into the global fund.
China is not paying into the global fund. Big fucking deal. Neither is Guatemala. And?
China's not going to have to pay for it. Wouldn't you know? The CCP doesn't have to pay climate reparations, even though their emissions are more than all of the developed nations combined.
Yes, largely because they have been the factory of the world for the rest of the developed nations on the planet. They're making the stuff we use. They have been. They're not anymore. But they've been making the stuff we use all this time. So a large element of their output in terms of toxicity and pollution has been because they're the factory of the world, which this asshole is a part of.
How about that?
How about that?
This decision came after negotiations were made at the UN COP27 summit in Egypt. If you're wondering why you've never heard of this before, climate reparations, it's because this $1 billion climate fund has previously been known as a loss and damage fund.
So you guys renamed it, or somebody renamed it, the Loss and Damage Fund. Hold on. Climate Loss and Damage Fund. I see. So COP27, November 20th, 2022, reaches breakthrough agreement on new loss and damage fund for vulnerable countries. United States Climate Change Conference, COP27, closed today with a breakthrough agreement to provide loss and damage funding for vulnerable countries hit hard by climate disasters. This outcome moves us forward, says Simon Steele, UN Climate Change Executive Secretary. We have determined a way forward on decades-long conversation of funding for loss and damage, deliberating over how we address the impacts on communities whose lives and livelihoods have been ruined by the worst impacts of climate change. Set against a difficult geopolitical backdrop, COP27 resulted in countries delivering a package of decisions that reaffirmed their commitment to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. The package also strengthened action by countries to cut greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to the inevitable impacts of climate change, as well as boosting the support of finance, technology, and capacity building needed by developing countries. Creating a specific fund for loss and damage marked an important point of progress, with the issue added to the official agenda. Okay, so here's what it is. Hype train. Thanks, everybody. It's called the Loss and Damage Report. It's still called that. Climate reparations is a made-up phrase that either some slacktivist made up because they liked it, or these assholes made up to shit on the Loss and Damage Fund because they don't like it.
And it's been blocked by previous administrations.
Trump, you mean?
Now, the silver lining here, hopefully, is that it may be blocked again as Republicans now hold a majority in the House of Representatives.
No.
Joining me now to weigh in on this is retired police officer, Purple Heart recipient, combat veteran in the U.S. Army in Afghanistan, Teddy Daniels. Teddy, I'm tired of hearing all of our money being going to useless garbage, especially when we have to pay reparations over something that one of the worst perpetrators of, China, doesn't have to pay a penny.
I see. So you use the word reparations is the part that's hanging them up. And having, us specifically help other countries with loss and damage, and not that it's reparations, but that we're actually aiding them, not taking any fault for it, not saying it's because of us or anything. Just the loss and damage report, and fund is there to make up for what's happening to these countries because we can all help them. Calling it reparations means that they can establish guilt and anger their base.
Penny for it. It's outrageous. We are getting so ripped off historically. It's infuriating.
Brother, thanks for having me on. And you mentioned one thing, negotiations. Who did we negotiate with that we have to pay $1 billion? Like, I can imagine the people on the other side of this table.
Hold on. Okay. Let's see. Package of decisions. Charming Climate Change Conference Advanced Unedited Versions. Let's see. COP27, Implementing Global Climate Observing Fund, Revision of the NFC, Common Metrics, National Adaptation Plan, Matter Seeking Action, Revision of Modalities, Long-Term Climate Finance, Adaptation Finance. All right, I'm going to have to find the... Saw significant adaptation, serious concerns, but the cover design known as the Sharm el-Sheikh implementation plan, because that's where they did it. Okay, hold on one second. Highlights that a global transformation to low carbon is expected to require investment of at least $4 to $6 trillion a year worldwide. Delivering such funding requires a swift and comprehensive central banks. World Leader Summit held over 2 days. Platform. Okay, hold on. Let's see. EU countries, loss and Hold on one second. Loss and damage fund. EU proposes loss and damage fund to help poor countries cope with climate crisis. Deadlock COP27 climate talks received a boost late on Thursday. Proposed it. Okay. Okay. So the EU proposed this. Let's see. Agree and close. Here we go. Deadlock COP27. EU proposed proposal ties compensation for climate disasters to tough emissions cuts. The money would be provided by broad-based funding coalition. The climate issue. EU. The proposal made is a final offer that seeks to find a compromise between nations as negotiators seek a way forward on the UN talks in Egypt. Will other countries sign up to the EU Loss and Damage Fund proposal? Timmermans said he was encouraged by immediate reaction to the proposal and more engagement. The offer is expected Friday. Let's see. Major announcement. EU proposes establishment of a loss and damage response fund, provided there is progress in other areas, including efforts to stay within the 1.5 limit and aligning financial flows and investment with the goals of the Paris Agreement. So this is the actual document they put forward. Give me 1 second. Establish a loss and damage, included in 8.4. The fund would be designed to respond to the needs of the most vulnerable countries to the adverse effects of climate change. The fund would receive financial inputs from parties in a position to do so and a variety of other sources, public and private, including innovative sources of finance. The details of this fund would be designed in accordance with the work plan, CMA, launch and expedite private map of thing. I'm trying to look for how much money's actually in here. Reaffirming the Glasgow Climate Pact, peak global emissions before 2025, reaffirming call to, okay. Let's see, urge to reduction global okay, this is an emissions lowering. It's hard. I don't know where they're getting the $1 billion from. I've seen it come up. Hold on. Climate reparations billion US. Biden torch for agreeing to play. Okay, hold on. Rich nations are finally committing cash to in a first. Hold on. There you go. This is a, they're not calling it climate reparations. They're calling it to pay for climate damages in poor nations. This is the New York Times. After 30 years of deadlock, a new UN climate agreement aims to pay developing countries for loss and damage caused by global warming, but huge questions remain about how it would work. Negotiators from 200 countries, blah, 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 to provide compensation for the cost of destructive storms, heat waves, droughts fueled by global warming. But the United States and other wealthy countries have been long blocked the idea for fear they could be held legally liable for the greenhouse gas emissions that are driving climate change. The agreement hammered out in this Red Sea resort town says nations cannot be held legally liable for payments. The deal calls for a committee with representatives from 24 countries to work over the next year to figure out exactly what form the fund should take, which countries should contribute, and where the money should go. Many of the other details are still to be determined. Creation of loss and damage, developing nations such as Asia, Africa, Latin America, Caribbean, South Pacific fought first to place the loss and damage fund on the formal agenda of the 2-week summit, and then when they were relentless in their pressure campaign, the announcement. Okay, so the number is the potential for how much they'll contribute. And the idea is that theoretically will contribute more.
Table holding this negotiation, looking at the Biden administration, think, man, boy, we're going to rake the Muppet Show over the coals here with $1 billion. Addison,
I don't know what that means. Neither do you. Let's move on.
When I first heard this story, I thought it came from the Babylon Bee, but then realized that no, we're paying $1 billion for what?
Well, tell us, because I'm looking it up and I'm still seeing that it's possible, I guess.
Well, aren't we in enough debt?
We wouldn't be using this as debt. This would be about investment in other areas.
Seriously, can you afford to put gas in your car?
Yes, he can.
At interest rates right now, like $1 billion for reparations? Are you kidding me?
Yes, you made that word up. It's you're calling it reparations because you think it has a black sound to it.
And reparations to who exactly? I know they say third world countries, but climate reparations, like people call for slavery reparations. At least I know what you're saying when you're calling for that. At least I understand.
I can't stand the idea, but I know what you're saying.
what exactly the reparations are going towards, who they're going towards, and what purpose they serve. Climate reparations is so clearly just this bunk, vague, a headline, this vague.
Right. It's a headline from you guys and Fox News and other places. It's the loss and damage fund.
Caveat to trick people into being, oh, it's reparations for the climate. Totally fine.
No, it's the opposite. It's literally changing it from the loss and damage fund to reparations so that right-wingers will hate it.
The whole thing is outrageous.
It is. It is.
Outrageous! Okay, so he knows he's lying and he doesn't know what he's talking about. The use of the word outrageous is obviously a dead giveaway.
You know what? At this point, I should just throw away my passport.
I agree.
Since, we just spent $1 billion, I can go where I want right now. Yeah. Apparently, it's our problem. We paid reparations. Kind of like the...
Oh, I see. So you're just totally going to blow past the slavery reparations part that once you pay for something, it's yours? Yikes.
Reparations that the Biden administration paid Afghanistan when we left $85 billion.
We didn't know such thing.
Worth of the most sophisticated weaponry on the face of the earth.
No, we didn't.
When we left that behind,
we didn't.
Why are we paying
Teddy Daniels is lying.
Third world country.
And apparently he lies in the trenches, which it looks like he's in a turkey sauna, but...
Reparations, so they can then attack us again. Yeah. I swear, Addison, sometimes I'm hoping for somebody to just wake me up from this bad dream we're living in.
Agreed. Someone should wake this man up from the fever dream that he is currently in.
Well, it's an indictment on the leadership that we have in this country, on the left and the right. The GOP certainly has not been our heroes as of late, especially not.
Oh, and I didn't get any popcorn. How did I not know this was coming? We're gonna do a drive-by rhino attack. Sweet.
Kevin McCarthy. This is something I know you are very eager to talk about, Teddy. This is a headline from National File. Kevin McCarthy used FTX cash to defeat conservatives in 2022. So
you what? Hold on. Kevin McCarthy used FTX cash. Come on now. Yeah, there it is, National File. But I thought this was a whole big Democrat-run thing, that the Democrats were creating FTX and it was a psyop to destroy crypto. McCarthy used left-wing oligarch money to fund a secretive anti-MAGA campaign within the GOP to protect his establishment speaker ambitions. Ooh. GOP establishment leader and Speaker of the House pretender, ouch. Kevin McCarthy used FTX cash to defeat conservatives in 2022 as the corrupt globalist-tied crypto exchange funded the establishment wings of both parties, but it's supposed to be a big... It's not that this guy was trying to get all the regulations around crypto torn away, so he was funding both sides. Yeah. Remember Trump always saying, I gave to both sides? Right. Now McCarthy is feeling the heat as conservative members of the Congress and the voters they're accountable are demanding answers to the failed red wave, which looked more like a pink trickle. Ew. Throughout the midterm campaign season, GOP establishment leader Kevin McCarthy used his congressional leadership fund political machine to inject massive amounts of cash into House races nationwide. In doing so, he targeted GOP primary races and even general elections versus Democrats in which America First conservatives aligned with President Trump. Okay, yeah, they crapped out. That's hilarious. So I guess you're just going to shoot the whole FTX was a giant Democrat big tech CIA Illuminati hand in glove endeavor.
We all know the story behind FTX, but apparently,
do we now?
Kevin McCarthy was getting money from them as well.
Absolutely, he absolutely was, and what he was doing. Now, Kevin McCarthy admitted in a closed-door Republican caucus hearing, he admitted to Congressman Bob Good, a member of the Freedom Caucus.
So he told this guy from the Freedom Caucus what?
Solid guy, hardcore conservative. He admitted that he only helped candidates who were going to vote for him for Speaker of the House. He did not want America First candidates. That includes Anthony Sabatini in Florida, Jerome Bell in Virginia, Laura Loomer, J.R. Majewski. I may have mentioned Jerome Bell.
I think you might want to mention Jerome Bell.
In Virginia.
Was he in Virginia? But what about Jerome, Virginia, in LaBelle, Wisconsin.
The list goes on and on.
Apparently, lists tend to do that if you just repeat the names on them.
And on.
And on.
You know,
have I mentioned someone being on Jerome Bell?
This is not leadership. This is failureship.
Zing. You worked on that, didn't you? Pack it up.
This is corruptionship.
Jesus, stop while you're behind.
This is buy me off ship.
It's a lot of ship. I'm just saying. It's horse ship.
Okay? McCarthy.
You are a dip ship. How about that?
Buying votes for Speaker of the House and quashing the America First agenda.
Yeah, it sounds like republicanism. And
could you imagine if we actually had a 30, 40 seat majority, how much we can get done? But
nothing, because you don't have the Senate or the presidency. And also, you'd have to appeal to a larger group of people to get that many seats, and you don't.
No. McCarthy did not want Freedom Caucus members coming in and
and he wasn't funding Freedom Caucus members in districts they would lose.
Voting against him for Speaker.
Yeah, it really is just.
Well, and by the way, there's like 5 or 6 of them he can't stop. Like MTG, she was going to get reelected. Boebert got close, but for fuck's sake, there's like Gosar and other. They're not going anywhere. Gosar ran fucking unopposed, and they're not going to vote for him. And he needs like all of them to be speaker. So why wouldn't he help the other folks just get as many Republicans elected as fucking possible?
Selfishness is the only thing that I...
What? Selfishness? Republican selfishness? When did this shit start? Where's the good old-fashioned Republican altruism? The selflessness? What's good for the community?
I can think of. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, Teddy, and we see it with guys like Kevin McCarthy and people like Dan Crenshaw. I can remember when...
That's who you're going after?
Crenshaw was an icon of the conservative movement. When during when he first entered Congress, he was beloved by all, but he committed political suicide because that BlackRock money started talking to him, and these backdoor dark money groups.
Ooh, backdoor dark money. Did they squeeze his lemon and let the juice run down his leg?
Started paying him some money. The military-industrial complex started paying him some money.
Have you ever met Jimmy Dore? I feel like you guys could make out.
And now he has just gone totally out the window, and he's a power-mad lunatic. He
a power-mad lunatic.
Had a great career, and he could have been one known for his integrity and respect and respecting the American people. But absolute power, again, corrupts absolutely. It's sad.
You're right, and you mentioned icon. Well, he's got one eye, and he's a con. So I think you hit the nail on the head there, Addison. He's definitely an icon, all right? And the con does not stand for conservative. And you nailed it. He is a globalist, okay, funded by the industrial military complex. And again, he has sold out conservatives across this country. And I'm actually, and not disrespecting his service. His service.
Yeah, you are. Like, I'm not a fan of Crenshaw's voting record or any of that shit. I have no idea, if I could even sit through a meal with the dude. But for fuck's sake, he lost his eye as a Navy SEAL in Afghanistan. The fuck is the matter with you? Like, this is the right wing. Remember the folks like, we support the troops, y'all don't support the troops. Fucking hell.
Service to this country is one thing, okay? But
yeah, it's one thing. I mean, an eye for an eye and never mind.
His voting record, it's like John McCain Jr., all right? That's what we have. We have the evolution of John McCain in Dan Crenshaw. That's what we're seeing right now.
Eye patch McCain, as my good friend Alex Stein calls him. Teddy.
Yep.
Fuck you.
Daniels, great.
Also, by the way, John McCain, lots of differences with that dude politically. An immeasurable almost amount of them. But I'm certainly not going to sit back, no matter what problems I have with him, and side with Donald Trump like he's a war hero because he was captured. I like people who weren't captured. Fuck you.
Great to have you on the show. Thank you for breaking these headlines down for us. I appreciate you.
Well, he broke. All right. Yes, he broke the news. Congratulations. The news is officially broken. Holy shit. Okay, one last thing. These are two short ones. And then I'll let you guys go. And I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to drive to LA tomorrow because I have I got the show Wednesday night and I've got some stuff to do tomorrow. So I'm going to do both shows. Tomorrow's show Wednesday morning and Wednesday afternoon, and then the live show obviously at Flappers from LA. So this is kind of come full circle with this one. Come on now. Roger Stone joins to give his thoughts about Mike Lindell potentially running for the RNC. Excuse me, potentially. The Lord told him to. Eat shit. Okay, here we go. I want to see this. All right.
You delayed your family dinner tonight to be with us, and that was very kind and gracious of you. Thank you for setting your...
Yeah, but he's still chewing Cokeberry sauce.
Your family dinner back by 30 minutes so you can be with us. I want to ask you before Mike joins us at the bottom of the hour about his announcement that he is looking to run for chairman of the RNC. He'll make the announcement for sure, I guess, on Monday. It's making national news.
This was Friday, I guess.
What do you think of...
It's making national news. No, it isn't.
This. And what do you think...
It was a national joke.
Think of the RNC, Mr. Stone?
Well, first of all, I, of course, love Mike Lindell. He's a great American patriot.
Great American patriot. And there's a lot that I like about Mike Lindell. And I just want to say right out of the box that I'm for it and against it, whatever works.
Who has really put his money where his mouth is in the fight for both free speech.
Wait a minute. His mouth is on Brannon House?
Speech and election integrity. And his intentions here, I think, are very good.
However,
but it's important for people to understand that the governing body of the Republican Party, the Republican National Committee, consists of 3 members from each state. The state party chairperson, a national committee man, and a national committee woman.
Women. So basically the man is 1 vote and the women are 1 vote. It's fair.
These are establishment Republicans. If 20% of the RNC members are America First Republicans, that would surprise me. If 20% of the National Committee members...
Dude, the House members, there aren't that many of them.
...are loyal to President Donald Trump, that would surprise me. So this is very, very much an insider's game. Now, in the history of the Republican Party, never in the party's history of over 100 years has any national chairperson who presided over a presidential loss been retained as chairman of the party. In fact, it is traditional when a national chair leader presides over a presidential loss that they resign and they're always replaced. In this particular case, Romney McDaniel, who is the current national chairman, essentially conned President Donald Trump.
Well, I mean, that's not hard. He's lead him around by his teensy little hands.
Into supporting her for a new term. By tradition, the presidential nominee, meaning the person nominated at the national convention, is allowed to name the state party chairman. The national party chairman.
Right, yeah. Fill it in. We're almost asleep here.
The national party chairman.
I never thought I could see someone so coked up and so boring at the same time.
Does not have to be a member of the national committee. That is a misnomer.
We got an email today as I read it to you, someone being critical of Mike, like, where are you getting your information from? You're not a committee member with the Minnesota Republican Party, therefore you can't be running as RNC chair. That's not true, correct?
That's disinformation. The national committee.
Well, you got to expect that from the Minnesota Republican Party. I mean, those fuckers, you're kidding me, right?
Designate any registered Republican in the United States as the national chairperson.
Yeah, as been seen by the institution of Florida Man as the RNC head during Bush 2.
Case in point, former U.S. Senator Bill Brock, who lost a re-election in 1976.
Oh, I'm bored. Tell me. All right, I want to see the other part. Tell me why the RNC is a money-making scheme in need of an audit. This at least won't be less boring.
Ted knew which delegates got appointed and how you could actually go about buying the seats.
Starting to understand why they cut this thing into 2-minute segments.
Delegates. Do you know what the person was referring to?
Well, it's accurate. Look, Ted Cruz is a Bush family retainer because George W.
His wife
Bush
worked in the Bush. His wife worked in the George W. Bush administration.
He's a Republican fuckstick.
As I've read and documented in my book, I think she was involved in helping to craft that idea of a North American Union.
No Child Left Behind, written by Ted Cruz. The War in Iraq, conceived by Ted Cruz.
Shit. I had no idea the target was so fucking easy at this point.
Ted Cruz was hired by the Bush family.
Wait a minute. Ted Cruz, architect of the Iraq War, is you can't just drop that and move on. No wonder it was such a horrible debacle.
Be George W.'s brain. They don't even like him. I mean, he is a very unlikable person on a personal level. Do I prefer him to Beto O'Rourke? Yes, narrowly. But the point here is that the delegate process is somewhat different than the Republican National Committee process. But the Democratic Party has these super delegates. We don't have the same system of super delegates, but states are awarded delegates based on how many Republican
get on with it.
Congress they have. They're awarded delegates on the basis of whether the Republican candidate for president carried that individual state in the last election or not.
And you think this organization isn't a well-oiled machine?
There is no greater expert on the mechanics of the Republican National Convention than Paul Manafort.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Put him in charge. What could possibly go wrong?
He is the supreme authority on this question.
Yeah, well, he's good with dictatorships and violent ones at that.
Here is why.
Okay. Because he hires delegates off of Craigslist to have sex with his wife and she can't say no.
State of Connecticut, of which I am a native, of which he's a native.
You're going to lay this on Connecticut? That's rude.
Is the last state in the country to choose its nominees for statewide office, governor, senator, and so on, by convention until they ultimately moved to primaries. So the mechanics, the rules, as it were, of the Republican National Convention are identical to the state party rules, which, by the way, are identical to the rules of the Young Republican National Federation.
Fabulous. I'm learning so much. Holy shit.
I served as Young Republican National Chairman from 1977 till 1980. I was the Reagan candidate for that office. My campaign was managed by...
Oh, is that what the tattoo was for? Does everybody have a tattoo of who they're a delegate for? Is that how you guys tell it apart? How nude are you guys during this choosing process?
Paul Manafort.
Okay, very nude. I get you.
If you know how to elect a Young Republican National Chairman, then you know how to elect the nominee for president.
Wow.
Jesus.
All right, so
Speed.
what then? Why is Rana, why is she even running again? She's been there, and we've had this horrible red wave scenario that didn't come about as they predicted.
I turned to speed up. Thanks for saying that.
Why does she not say thank you, folks, and good night, and move on? Why is she even being considered to run again? As you said, at this point, historically, something like this they wouldn't even dare run again, correct?
Correct, because this is about grifting. This is about favored consultants. Here's what we need. It's not that complicated.
Okay, good. Thank you. Well, at least you could have said this in the beginning. Could have just started this with, it's not that complicated, before you got all complicated.
Someone who's a major donor to the Republican National Committee needs
I am the major donor from the major...
to go into court and demand an audit. It's that simple. They have standing because you're a donor. We need to see where all these dollars, both hard dollars and soft dollars particularly, have gone.
Yeah, I imagine Trump has a lot of soft dollars. It's difficult getting hard dollars.
So whether you've given $1 to the Republican National Committee, or whether you've given $10,000 or $100,000 or $1 million, somebody with standing needs to sue for an audit so that all of the donors can see where their money has gone.
Well, why don't you?
What you're going to
Why doesn't Mike Pillow?
find is that there are some, sadly even some in Trump's circle, who walked away with millions and millions and millions of dollars of compensation. Why is Ronna hanging around? This is a money-making scheme.
Right on. High quality. There you go. That's how it ended. This is a money-making scheme. Good times. Ain't we lucky we got them. I mean, I don't know how much more of that I can take tonight. On that note, I will leave you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm doing the show from LA tomorrow afternoon, and then on Wednesday, same deal. And then I get to do my show at Flappers and drive back like a maniac. If you're a Patreon supporter and you're in the LA area and you would like to come to the show on Wednesday, just let me know. There's a standing Patreon list at Flappers, so they'll let you in with a guest. I just got stoned watching that. Jesus Christ, I know. Please report on, God forbid, before Georgia election. It will persuade voters. Okay, sounds good. Sped up, I thought he said because he was on dope. Yeah. Roger Stone should make his own podcast to put people to sleep. Oh, God. Yeah, but it would make your skin curl. Oh, God. Anyway, so thank you guys so much. Love you. And I will see you guys on tomorrow in the afternoon, or those that join me on the Wednesday morning show. Please feel free to share the show when you get a chance. And on we go. This is going to be a fun week, though, because, again, most of what we're seeing in, like Jimmy Dore's collapse is happening because he said Ukraine was a failed state and Russia was going to win. Same thing with Scott Ritter and Aaron Monte. Roger Stone and all these folks are attacking the RNC. Please tell me that like somebody is putting together a video for Mike Pillow that's like his campaign for the RNC ad. So I did Mike Pillow at the very beginning. So yeah. Anyways, I love you guys. I appreciate it. But again, can I just remind you guys how, yes, I prefer John Ritter too. He's lovely. Please, just to remind everybody that this is the state of the intellectual capacity and argument of the entire right wing right now. And a lot of this has to do with what a fuck up Donald Trump is. I mean, he did something. Donald Trump did something in 4 years that Democrats haven't been able to do in 30, which is basically grind the Republican Party down to a nub. It's so good. It's so good. And I just want you guys to remember that when you feel like yourself getting wound up. You're like, oh my God, they're gonna. No, they're not. They're fucking not. And we will always, no matter what happens, we will always have entrepreneur. Ritter is dead. Oh, yes, reset. Sorry. This is HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. I'm here Monday through Friday in the afternoon, 3 o'clock Pacific time to 5-ish. And, well, sometimes 6-ish. Sorry. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have the morning show. And then Saturday's the radio show. HAL Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide going on its 13th year, I think. Maybe 15th. I've lost track. I'm just glad to be doing it. Anyways, love you guys. Much love. And I will see you guys tomorrow.